The previous basket is under review.
Well, greetings from Greenville. This is a very special edition of Basket Under Review, live from SoCon Media Day. We're going to get started in a couple of hours, but before we do, I want to just give everybody a layout of what we're here to do and what we're looking to find out today. My name is Rocco Miller, working here today with Basket Under Review. You can also find my work at bracketshere.org and various other platforms, but we have a special group here at Basket Under Review. Thrilled to be a part of it. Any small part of it I can be, or hopefully larger. Here to give you mid-major stories, mostly that are not being discussed enough. We're going to find some of those here within the SoCon. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to read some of the work I've put out so far about coaches entering their third year. We had an amazing interview with the NEC commissioner and the senior associate commissioner for men's basketball a couple weeks back, and now we're here to focus on the Southern Conference. So what's going to come out today and the lineup of events is the league around 11 a.m. Eastern time will roll out the poll. I think they're going to announce a 10-player preseason all-conference team, which, some of us were here together last night, both from the league and a few of the head coaches. We laughed because out of last year's 15 players that were on the 3 all-conference teams, only one player came back to the SoCon, and his name is Ricky Bradley Jr., and I think I'm safe to share this because this won't come out until after this is public. Ricky will be the preseason player of the year. Some of it having to do with that, but let's be honest, this guy had all sorts of phone calls this summer, and it's very, very unusual and unpredictable, I guess, for those of us prognosticators to expect a kid this good to come back to a program like VMI, but it's a credit to what Andrew Wilson has built. So we're going to do a special interview with VMI. It will have both the preseason player of the year, Ricky Bradley Jr., and of course, head coach Andrew Wilson. Bradley's numbers last year, just so everybody gets a refresher: 16.3 points a night, 4.8 rebounds, 2.8 assists, extremely efficient. And the other big news there at VMI is AJ Clark, who's been totally rashed with injuries for the last couple of years. He's got a clean bill of health, and he's been practicing since mid-spring, and they expect him to be full go. And I know that's a big deal to go along with guys like TJ Johnson and Tan Yidzaglu, if you've watched VMI play, that is really kind of the darling of the league, making an appearance in the semifinals last year, trying to break more barriers this coming year. Before we get started, I don't want to go too long on the intro. The plan today, we're going to interview all 10 head coaches, including Andrew Wilson. We're going to start this off with the commissioner, Michael Cross. So I hope you enjoy that. I did my best to kind of cover all bases. The big news here is that, of course, Tennessee Tech has been announced in the last month to become a SoCon member in 26-27. Trying to anticipate what moves may come next. Obviously, I don't think he'll share all of his secrets with us, but I hope that gives us a better read on where the league is going next, and maybe make some assumptions about who might have a chance to leave. And we don't want to see any of that. We love the SoCon the way it is, but we're also realistic and want this to be the best possible information we can provide. And we're in a wild, changing climate in college sports, and I can't think of a more league that's been proven in men's basketball, certainly my entire lifetime and before I was born, to deliver just year after year quality basketball at this level, and now really finds themselves stuck in the middle of the sport. You've got those top couple of tiers with high majors. If there's a power 2, you might even consider that 2 tiers. Then you've got that next cut, which would be like the American, the WCC, the Mountain West, probably the future Pac-12, although they could be even higher. And then, of course, the Atlantic 10 in that tier. And, the way we look at it in scheduling is budgets. And the SoCon is either in that next group after, or even another group, because you have group of 5 football leagues like Conference USA, Sun Belt, and the MAC certainly come to mind that operate a little bit differently. The MAC certainly has weighted more football lately, whereas Conference USA was tremendous last year in basketball. Really a high floor there. And then SoCon's competing to get into that level year in and year out with more in line with like the Missouri Valley, which is incredibly quality basketball. Really in line with, I think, the Big West. It's unfortunate those two leagues are not more geographically friendly, or we would try to put a challenge between the SoCon and Big West together. That would be my dream. But what I've been able to gather here today, or yesterday, I should say, is this will be year 2 of the ASUN SoCon Challenge, which has been a good thing to get these schools, and some of them very tough to reach locations. VMI, of course, comes to mind there. To get those teams some home games. It's really difficult in scheduling to get D1 non-conference home games if you're a SoCon member. So we're going to explore everything. We'll talk to the commissioner first. We'll have the 10 head coaches, of course, Ricky Bradley. And then look for a separate special episode. I'm going to go one-on-one with athletic director from Samford, Martin Newton. He is the vice chairman of the selection committee this coming year. Really, really excited about that. If you're a bracketology guru, I've been doing it for over 2 decades. Hopefully, people out there know that. I'm going to be giving him all the toughest questions, including why the WAB is based on the NCAA's net instead of tools like Torvik and KenPom, where they have access to those general tools, but they prefer to double down on the net. We'll get into so many things, but that's a sneak preview for you. And before we get started, I'm going to give you my bracketeer version of how I see the league. I think it's pretty unanimous from the people I've talked to, the different tools you might be able to see, whether it's Bart Torvik, Evan Mia, and others, that the Citadel is kind of stuck still, at least from a preseason perspective, in that last bottom tier, almost by themselves. They're projecting Torvik 335. Evans got him 347. They finished near 350 last year. They are bringing in some interesting pieces for Division II transfers. We'll get into that with Ed Conroy. The Citadel does allow grad transfer students, so they're much different than VMI. They're different than other military service academies, so they have a little bit of an edge there. They also got a player from Iowa in Kingsbury. We'll talk about him as well. He was a walk-on, but he saw the floor, and I think at the Citadel he could make a real difference as a grad transfer. And then I think the next tier is a cluster. We'll start with VMI, who obviously is there because of continuity and togetherness, and just, if they're in close games, they find a way to win a lot of them. So you have to imagine they've got a really good chance to go 500 or better once again this year. How exciting is that for the Keydets? Wofford, you'll see the poll. They were picked 9th. And I don't think I can ever remember a time they were picked 9th. Now, of course, you probably know by now the turmoil that occurred in the last 2 weeks. Kevin Giltner Jr., suddenly the head coach, was just a Virginia Tech assistant a couple of weeks ago. One hire that he made here early this week is Kevin McGeehan. So we'll talk about that. He was the Campbell head coach for the last several years, and he can be that guiding light when things get a little sticky and help him navigate the waters as a CEO of Wofford basketball. But they retained the rest of the staff, so I think they're going to try to keep things as in line as possible. And they did a pretty good job in the portal, so I do think Wofford belongs. Next is UNC Greensboro, who got kind of gutted. They'll have 11 of 13 brand new players at Greensboro. But Mike Jones went 13-5 in this league last year. He's got a great track record over the last several years. Their preseason around 270, which it's hard for me to believe. I think they're usually a top 150 to certainly 200 program. So that's a team you probably can bank on having some upside versus expectations. I put them in that same tier, along with Western Carolina. And part of that is me knowing Tim Kraft so well. Really loved the job he did at Gardner-Webb. Last year, he just could not get any talent into this program. He's worked hard. His staff's worked hard. They've got some real pieces, a big front line. Could be a really good defensive team, the Catamounts this year. Obviously, tools like Torvik and Evan, they swing a little bit more offensive. I should give Evan some credit. He has Western Carolina 245. Torvik, less impressed, 307. But again, those tools have certain deficiencies if players are missing from that data, or they have defensive, it's more weighted towards offense. So it would hurt a team like the Catamounts. And last is Mercer. Mercer's really excited about their group. So we're going to talk to them. We're going to learn more about the Bears. Ryan Ritter's done a great job everywhere he's been. Bethune-Cookman, UT Martin, now here in Macon at the helm for the Bears. And then our top tier. I think these four are the teams to beat in the league from a talent, coaching, proven history, success, however you want to measure that. That's the way I look at it. In my preseason top 60, which has not been released, we're going to give these four away. I have Chattanooga 12th overall. Chattanooga, of course, replacing a lot of pieces, a lot of exciting pieces coming in. I don't think their offense misses a beat. Dan Earl's a genius, and this team's got a lot of upside. Furman, I'm going to see them practice later today. Can't wait. They have a lot of proven vets back behind Ben Vanderwall, several other names, Charles Johnson, of course. Furman, number 18 for me. East Tennessee State next. They're 27th out of my top 60. So really just trying to see, they got to replace, of course, Kwamari Peterson and others, but the way they defend, they were the number one defense in this league. And when I talked to Coach Savage, Brooke Savage today, will be very heavy defensive conversation. Hope you enjoy that. And last is Samford. So, of course, Lenny Acuff, this is banking on him. Really, really amazing career at Alabama Huntsville for several years in Division II. Went on to do well at Lipscomb for a few years, took him to the NCAA tournament. Now he's back home in Sweet Home, Alabama, at a very great job in this league, the Samford Bulldogs. They come in at number 44. So there you have it. Chattanooga 12, Furman 18, ETSU 27, Samford 44 in the top tier. Second tier, VMI, Wofford, UNC Greensboro, Western Carolina, and Mercer. And then last tier, the Citadel, but should be improved. What an exciting day. I hope you enjoy it all, and we'll get you over to Commissioner Michael Cross right after this.
Rocco Miller, I'm back here for SoCon Media Day Part 2, and we have the special privilege today to be joined by SoCon Commissioner Michael Cross. Michael, how's SoCon Media Day treating you?
It's treating me very well, Rocco. Great to be here. Thanks for the opportunity to talk SoCon hoops.
Yeah, we're excited. We're excited. I think the league, I saw a stat earlier, if you took all the non-power conferences, 5-year average, SoCon is the 5th best league over the last 5 years. So I guess let's reflect for a second.
Okay.
And what has allowed that to occur? Like, I've always thought it's been an amazing league. And what's it going to require to maintain that the next 5 years?
Well, that's a great question. So I think there's some key pieces that go to this. And one of our catchphrases is it's all here. And it's all here encompasses a lot of things. From a conference-wide standpoint, quality leadership, you got to have that. You got to have it at the presidential level, the athletic director level, the coaching level. And that is a key component of anything you're going to do. If you don't have the right people, you're going to struggle to be successful. So that's a key part. Academic quality of our institutions is great. The competitiveness of our institutions is great. And then honestly, the geographic footprint that we're in, our schools do not need to spend a lot of money getting in airplanes, spending time in airports, which is tough on your body, tough on recovery. Like, we've got a setup where people can drive to their conference opponents. We schedule in a way within conference competition to make sure that those who have some longer trips, those games get pushed together in a travel partner type setting. So we feel good about all those things. We feel good about Tennessee Tech joining us. And, when you say, hey, how do you maintain this? The key component from my perspective is great coaches. And if you go top to bottom in this conference, we have got an unbelievably strong group of coaches, great humans, incredible X's and O's people, strong recruiters, coupled with institutional investment, coupled with good facilities. Like, you take all those things, we feel like we're very well positioned in the national landscape, and that should continue to be the case for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I think Tennessee State, for example, on the travel part, they don't get on an airplane all year this year. And so there's one example, and one of your top programs historically doing it. It's not just, because in scheduling, and this, but for the audience, it's so much easier to get games when you've had a horrible year.
Oh, sure.
Because Tennessee State's the opposite of that. So the fact that they can pull that off still is actually a lot harder than I think the average person understands.
Yeah, I mean, some of that's driven by a whole variety of factors, but it's hard to get home games. There's a lot of economic reasons behind that. It's hard to get certain games scheduled because of the net, because of the way coaches think. I mean, there's a whole variety of factors that go into that. But look, ETSU's been a historically strong program, and the things I talked about before. I mean, their institution is invested, their fan base is invested. They've got strong coaching. The geography fits. Like, again, all the types of things we talk about from the conference perspective of having, these main touch points that yield results. They check the boxes on for sure.
Yeah, one of the other components we've talked to a lot of leagues about so far this offseason is, especially for sustainability, is access and viewership, right? And I think one of the strategies I heard you talk about on a previous interview was getting more regional media rights deals done. Like I think in like the Western Carolina area, for example, they can watch their team on the local CW certain games. And
yeah.
So can you give us maybe a progress, a status update on that and where it's heading? And then I think traditionally you can watch pretty much any SoCon game on ESPN Plus as well. Do I have that right?
You do. So let me go through the sequence here. So we're in the last year of our current agreement with ESPN, which is our macro level media rights agreement. The vast majority of our games are on ESPN Plus, but we do have games that are on linear television, ESPNU, ESPN2, ESPN. Our semifinals and finals on the men's side are broadcast on the linear networks. Our women's championship game for the last 2 years has been additive, which we're excited about. So, ESPN serves as the base from that. We then have an ability to take 5 games currently out of that agreement and put them on a different broadcast network. And so we've been with CBS Sports. We've had 5 linear games on CBS Sports for the last 5 years of this contract, and which is awesome. We love it. Appreciate the opportunity to do it. ESPN's a good partner in that regard, and CBS Sports is a good partner in that regard. So that's the second piece. And then we also have agreements in place that allow us to then have games that are on what we'll call third tier broadcast places. And Nexstar is a huge part of that for us. Ingles and Ingles Markets, it facilitates that for us in a very meaningful fashion in terms of advertising, in terms of production costs. So you take all those things together and we feel like we cover our footprint very well. The local, Greenville, Spartanburg, Asheville market in particular has a lot of coverage of what we're doing. And then various affiliates will pick that up as various games pop on and off the schedule. So we're pretty blessed in that regard. The regional footprint, the rivalries drive some of those types of opportunities because people want to see compelling matchups, familiar teams, things that they've watched for a long time, and we provide that. And it turns into a pretty good television package for us.
That's right. One of the things I'm fascinated about, so in basketball, for example, but also in any sport, some of my favorite coaches personally have told me a lot of their ideas are not original ideas. They study what everybody else is doing.
Sure.
They take ideas, concepts, and they kind of take the things that fit them.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you do that a little bit with the other leagues that, some at the same level, maybe some trying to catch you, some that you're trying to catch yourself. Mm-hmm. What's it like for you being kind of in, a very regional geography, but then also tracking what's going on nationally to keep the SoCon either ahead of the game, or how do you look at that? What's your approach?
And
obviously Tennessee Tech's in here.
Yeah, I mean there's a few different pieces that go to this question that you're asking. So the first one is I talked about already, the It's All Here component and those 4 major pieces. The second thing is that we think about is what I describe as the 3 X's. Okay, and it's EX meaning exposure for our institutions and our athletes. Experience for our coaches and our athletes being first, obviously. And then the question of expenses / revenue, and what are the opportunities to either contain cost or spend wisely, or go and generate more revenue. So as we're thinking about those 3 things, much of what drives our decision-making is those touch points about how we're going to think about the world. So then you got to have some good communication with your ADs, with your presidents, with your coaches to figure out, okay, where do we want to go? What do we want to do? And then, from a personal standpoint, I have said to our staff many times, I want to try and think about things where people look and go, hey, did you see what the SoCon did over there? Hey, did you see what they're doing over there? So yeah, we're of course borrowing and noting what people are doing in the landscape. And everybody in athletics is a habitual stealer on a lot of these ideas, but somebody has to be first through the wall on some of this stuff. And sometimes you're in a position to do that. Other times, not so much. So we pick our spots. We're very attuned to the landscape as it relates to technology. We're very attuned to the landscape as it relates to, things happening with AI, with what's going on in the television world. Thinking about our championships in different ways than we have previously. So all of these things are part of a strategy that really leverages our strengths that I talked about earlier, coupled with making sure that what we decide to do is checking at least one of those three boxes of experience, exposure, and expenses / revenue opportunities. So that's what goes into it. Some things catch our eye. There's a lot of things we say no to, honestly, but when something catches our eye, we think it's the right move. We try to bring people along and put ourselves in a position to be successful.
Speaking of newer concepts, I think this will be the second year of the ASUN SoCon Challenge. I might have said that backwards. If I did. Doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, potato, it's all good.
And I think, being involved in scheduling every day as I am, I understand kind of probably the most important part of that is to guarantee an extra home game, which are very difficult to get at a lot of these places that are in something. And, but I'm just curious about how you think that's gone thus far. So I know year two, but then also the ASUN is going to have a change next year, and you'll have Tennessee Tech. It wasn't just a 2-year contract, or any kind of reflections, and then thinking ahead where that's heading.
Yeah, so the agreement I think has worked incredibly well.
Yeah.
And it's born out of need. I mean, our coaches are struggling to get games. Their coaches are struggling to get games. It's a very weird environment as it relates to trying to schedule games, coupled with a factor right now where we're going to go to 32 games per year. So we're adding more games in basketball.
The calendar's not changing.
And the calendar's not changing.
You got to get them in.
Everybody's trying to get home games. And so you gotta help your own cause here, and you gotta be a willing, fair partner. So look, adding Tennessee Tech helps solve this. We just added a whole bunch of home games to our schedule and theirs, which is a good thing. It helps with our basketball tournament. And then the ASUN arrangement, it's a home game and a road game for everybody. So we're getting, a home and a road. It's filling 2 of those non-conference dates. And we're actually in conversation with another conference to see if we can do the same thing again. You do reach a stage where people want to have some institutional control. But, I struggle with the idea that there's this sort of magic formula. Like, everybody's got the same data. Everybody's got the same analytics. And, people don't like to commit to games. Am I starting at my place first? Do I have to go to your place first? I mean, it's all complicated. You live this. And sometimes it feels like, people are sitting there going, oh, I can Jedi mind trick this guy into playing a game that's really good for me, but not for them. And I'm like, that's not going to happen. Yeah, So you got to get people to a place where they go, all right, this is a reasonable and fair matchup. It's solving problems that exist, which is we can't get games and we can't get home games. And that's why this has been able to persist. The ASUN's changes, we've talked with their commissioner. They're committed to continuing to do this with the current and former ASUN schools. I don't think this is going to drift into the other schools that were part of the WAC, at least not right now. And so we'll see where it goes. But I feel good about it. The commissioner of the ASUN's a new commissioner. Yeah. New commissioners have found each other and they go, hey, let's see if we can think about doing this differently. And credit to the coaches and the ADs for saying, yeah, let's try this because we've got real problems we have to solve. And I think it's worked out very well so far.
He might have some questions for you about how to run a good neutral site conference tournament, because for the first year, they'll run one in Jacksonville. They've done campus sites for a number of years in the last decade. So speaking of, Asheville seems magical from where I'm sitting. I live on the West Coast, but I watch it every year, obviously.
Yeah.
Is that gold standard? No thoughts of ever leaving, or is it just, do you have to reevaluate it year in and year out?
Yeah, so we're in the last year of our agreement. We had so we're in the last year of agreement with Asheville as well. I would say we're approaching the finish line of figuring out what the future will look like, and I don't want to get into the terms and specifics, but I feel good about it. We like the experience there for sure, and the success there is driven by a couple things. One, the host city is really good. It's a nice setting. It's a downtown setting. If you think about places where you can have that type of walkable experience, I mean, you've been to Final Fours. The best Final Fours are the cities that you can, drop yourself downtown, never get in a car again.
Yes.
It's San Antonio, it's Indianapolis, it's New Orleans, it's Atlanta. Like, those are really successful Final Four cities. And we have that in Asheville with our championship. Like, schools can show up, men and women, and they are now setting up shop for 2, 3, 4, 5 days, depending how well they do, in a place where they can walk around downtown, have restaurants, the fans are going to bars, all that type of thing. So, Ingalls is a tremendous supporter of that. Explore Asheville is a tremendous supporter of that. The city of Asheville is very supportive of it. So we have a long time history there. And honestly, I think there's only a couple other places that I would say, I don't think they do it better, but have a similar feel. Obviously, the Big East at Madison Square Garden is exceptional.
Yes. The
Missouri Valley Conference has done Arch Madness, and I have 5 years of familiarity with that experience. So people are searching for that.
Yeah.
Why does it work for the Big East? A lot of geography. Why does it work for the Missouri Valley? A lot of geography. Why does it work for us? A lot of geography. So the more stretched out your conference gets, the harder it is for some of those fan bases to make their way to the conference tournament. And the harder it is, hopefully you have the right alignment of, close school with close school. And we certainly saw that last year with, Furman and Wofford in the championship game, which was just exceptional. And I felt like, the conference met the moment. I mean, the schools bring the energy, they bring the talent, they played unbelievably well.
Such great.
And we put a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Championship.
Yeah. So we love it. We love our time slot on ESPN on Monday night at 7 at the start of that week. We feel like we have the right secret sauce as it relates to what we're doing there. But there's always things that you go and say, hey, this could be a little better. Let's talk about how we improve this over here. Let's think about this revenue component. Let's think about the competitive equity for our athletes. All of those things are real factors that we continue to talk about every year. Year one, when I went through this, we had, no exaggeration, 10 pages of notes. Year two, we got it down to about 3. Hopefully after year 3, we'll get it down to about 1, where we feel like we've got it really, really tight.
Yeah, and I could speak to experience because I'm at the WCC semifinals every year on that Monday. Mm-hmm. But it's with you starting at 7 Eastern. Our first semifinals at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific.
Yeah.
So they have this great buffet room for the media.
Yeah.
And we're in there watching that game. I've missed tip-off of our game.
Nice.
Because the SoCon game's better, so I have to show that.
Well, I appreciate you helping the ratings. That's great. So keep on watching. Throw a couple more TVs on. Yeah.
The last thing I have, and it's a quick one. Recently Martin Newton, 80 at Sanford, was announced to be the chairman next year, 26-27.
Yeah.
Of the selection committee, big deal. And the vice chairman this year. And it's a wild deal because you have a mixed bag of other commissioners and then other ADs. And I'm just curious, from your perspective, does he make one last call to you before he goes in there? Because, I serve on mock committees publicly. We have YouTube and all that. Yeah. And we're always wondering, how much politics is going on. You don't get to be in there either. Yeah. But he might call you on a break or two. I don't know how it works. But from your perspective, do you get involved at all or tell him anything?
Yeah. So I think everybody's approach to this stuff is different. I mean, we're clearly, as a conference, making sure that the committee members are aware and armed with information about who our representative is. I'd love to have us in a situation where we've got somebody in the position for a second bid. Those are really hard to get. The landscape continues to evolve in a way that doesn't suggest that's going to be particularly likely, but I'm never going to say never. So we make sure that they're very aware of what's happening in the room. And honestly, I don't give them any guidance on it. I mean, we do talk, I'll say philosophically separate from the selection process and just talk about, hey, let's talk about 72 or 76 teams. I personally am a fan of 80. I don't know that others want to hear that, but I feel like multiples of 16 work really well. And multiples that aren't of 16 have a different feel to them. So,
do you think a field of 80 could get you 2 teams in this landscape, or is it still not enough teams? I guess it could.
I haven't thought about it in those terms. Like my goal has not been to say, let's talk about 80. or 80. Like, what's the number we can finally get to where we get, 2 teams? Like, that's not really my thinking. My thinking is more broadly of what is the number where everybody who's in the championship feels like they're truly in the championship. Because one of the criticisms right now around going from 68 to 72, 76 is, well, those games really the same experience that you have for the full bracket? And I think if you get to 80 and think very differently about top to bottom 1 through 80, you can have a much different look and feel where, how would I say this? The mid majors have an opportunity to play a power conference game that still feels like those Cinderella type experiences without doing some interesting things with the bracket, which are all well intentioned, but we're playing the last 4 in as a group. We're playing the last 4 lowest AQs as a group, which isn't really a pure bracket format. Versus this group's going to get a bye. This group's going to play a whole lot of games, and then they're going to feed into this group that had a bye. So I've written lots of papers on it. Dan Gavitt's got it. Martin's got it. They all got it.
I'll contact Dad.
Yeah, nobody's running over and saying, "Hey, MC, what do you think?" But but they've got it, and I try to push us to be inclusive. But I think we have to think about some things differently. Revenue's an undercurrent of this. Nobody wants a smaller unit as it relates to
the pieces have to get bigger.
Yeah, so if the pie is going to grow, maybe the pieces get to grow. There's discussion about adding units for the semifinals and the finals, and so those dollars have to come from somewhere. But you can really, if we can get out of our fixed positions and talk about what might we be able to think about differently, I think there's opportunities to do some of those things. And look, there's lots of smart people in that room, a lot smarter than me, who can figure those things out. So I'm not on the committee. They'll figure it out. Dan Gavitt will figure it out. Great trust there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think the public is just slowly coming around, at least the basketball public. I think general public, maybe not. But once we start breaking it down into deeper details, I think the biggest pushback I personally have is I'll be honest, I'm a little grossed out by some of the power conference teams that get in with like really bad records. We had a team last year, I won't name names, have 7 home losses and go to the first 4. And there was teams like Boise State, UC Irvine. And again, I'm always looking at it from the SoCon level.
Yeah.
Whereas I get it. It's a revenue-based tournament. Players are making money.
Yeah.
And so you got to keep up with the Joneses. So it's just a tricky time. But I think the March Madness pastime, and I've been involved with regular corporate America jobs before, and you have like Susie down the hall who's never watched a college basketball game, but the Monday after the bracket comes out, all she wants to do is go to the fax machine, print one out or whatever, the copy machine. Yeah. And so you got to hang on to as much as you can, because that's what makes Susie Thursday morning turn that game on. And if it's like a little too complicated or hard to fill out, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, so the they gotta figure all this out, but the tournament does start on Thursday at noon.
Yeah. Yep. You gotta get everything else in before that.
You gotta get a couple more games in before that. Like I don't know that if you're a basketball person that you're gonna be like, oh boy, those games that started on Tuesday, I just really hate that there's more basketball to watch. Like there's NIT games going on, there's other tournaments going on. Like, if you're a basketball person and the games have meaning, which they do because you're trying to get yourself to a national championship, I'm not sure that first week turning into a bigger smorgasbord as opposed to staying where we are is necessarily a bad thing, because we've already figured it out with 2 games on Tuesday, 2 games on Wednesday. Let's get you get a couple more games that start earlier in the day. Like, is anybody be like, oh, I don't want to watch that game at noon? Of course not. Like, I don't see a problem there. But again, that's my own. Yeah. So
he's Michael Cross, the commissioner of the SoCon. This was a tremendous conversation.
Yeah. He's Rocco Miller, in case you didn't know that. So anyway,
thank you.
Good to see you. Appreciate your time. Yeah, absolutely. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Welcome back to SoCon Media Day, and I am with the defending NIT champion head coach, Chattanooga's own Dan Earl. Dan, how are you today?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
is this day getting the juices flowing from where we left off late into? Just to tell you my story, I'm one of those guys who gets to the Final Four way too early.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just 8 days of Super Bowl because I get to finally see all you guys.
Absolutely.
So we were watching it at the piano bar on the Riverwalk.
Yeah.
And I'm good friends with the Irvine guys.
Yeah.
And man, that was probably one of my favorite games I saw all year. But you had other great games in that tournament.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's cool. A lot of people tuned in. There's not a whole lot of basketball going on at that time of year. And while we're shooting for the NCAA tournament this year and every year, it was a really cool run for our guys, for the city of Chattanooga. I mean, they, after gave us a parade.
I saw that.
Yeah. I mean, it was just awesome all the way around, So, but to your point, we played some really good basketball teams, So UC Irvine in the final, obviously, but at Bradley, Loyola had Dayton, lucked out a little bit. Dayton had to come
with the 8-1 game,
yeah,
right?
Right. And a little Tennessee State team that we went into triple overtime with, So really good basketball programs. You need a little luck involved, which we had throughout the course of the NIT run, but we had great guys and a bonding experience that they'll never forget.
That's phenomenal. And for me personally, I cover basically all the non-power leagues throughout the year.
Yeah.
Because I know by the time we get to March, we're all going to be talking about the big boys. Fortunately or unfortunately.
Yeah.
We usually need like one or two of you guys to break through, but it's getting tougher every year. So with this new NIT, we only had 5 Power Fives, but almost all those matchups were matchups I dream of every offseason.
Yeah.
How did you feel about it? Do you think it's great for this level of basketball, this format?
I really do.
Looking back.
Looking back. I mean, again, we played really good programs. I mean, I don't want to leave anybody out, but you're playing at Bradley, and Coach Wardle does an unbelievable job. And you're looking, they have X amount of thousands of people there. Everyone's in red. It's a hostile environment. A really good program. And you can go down the list. So, to your point, while there wasn't a ton of high major teams, like the other part of it is everybody, I think, seemed cared to be there, right? Like the old days in the NIT, you have to get past that. That you didn't make the tournament, you're on the bubble, whatever, and the disappointment factor, So, but at least the teams we played, I mean, we started off with middle, and it was a 3 overtime game, and it was real basketball, heated games, game situations, and look, again, you need a little luck, but I was super proud of our guys because I think we played totally unselfishly in a day and age that things seem to be getting a little more and more me and selfish, So great group of guys, and again, super proud of them.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
We had a request from one of our audience members earlier to ask you about scheduling, and that's obviously an area I focus on as well.
Yeah.
The very unique opening weekend, going to St. Mary's, which is in my backyard.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll see you there. Yeah. And then straight to UNLV the next day. Maybe talk a little bit about the thinking there. But then, of course, you also have Auburn in the Atlanta game, which I've helped with that in the past. But now they have a younger Pearl head coach.
That's right.
So maybe just the thinking of the strategy around that. Maybe those three as the kind of top, but maybe the overall scheduling philosophy going into the year.
So there was no thinking nor strategy. No,
because you won the NIT and nobody wants to play there, right?
It became decently challenging or very challenging to get some, in particular, high major teams to play. So I'm super grateful that Coach Bennett, agreed to play us at St. Mary's again. And just as an aside, but we had to play at St. Mary's last year,
right? With USC, right?
Yeah, USC, right? Because if you go out there, you want to try to get 2 games in for flying. We worry about all that. So. But I distinctly remember shooting around, like we were having practice the day before, and I'm shooting some shots while the guys are lacing up their sneakers or whatever. And I'm looking up at the banners in the practice gym, and I'm like, 27-5, 28-4. So I'm like, what the heck are we doing here? So
it's got a dynasty.
It's an unbelievable job. Yeah. So, the next point is, it was interesting in that I called my brother who's at William & Mary and a buddy of mine, Matt Langle, who's at Colgate, and we kind of a text chain going or whatever. But I call them up and I'm like, hey, have you ever played 2 different teams in 2 different cities on consecutive days? And they're like, no, what the hell are you talking about? I'm like, well, I think we're doing it, So it became a dates thing and a schedule thing. So yes, we are indeed playing St. Mary's, which I'm not excited about on Friday night. Don't show our guys this because we'll be going all in to try to win the games. But then playing UNLV at 5 o'clock or later, I didn't want to get our guys.
It's in the contract.
It's in the contract.
Yeah.
So we'll play back to back and then head out. And then super excited about the Auburn game as well. It was cool to be able to play like a neutral site game, if you will. There might be a couple more Auburn fans, but we're going to try to get the Chattanooga Mocs fans down to Atlanta. But a great opportunity.
How cool is that? Get the boys on the big stage.
Yeah, no doubt. Like if you can play against the best like that, and not far away. Atlanta is right down the road from Chattanooga, so I'm hoping we'll have a lot of Mocs fans. Now, I will share this with you that we played Auburn a couple of years ago. Now, it was at Auburn, which that environment.
Right, I kind of remember this game.
But, you go into the game saying, like, hey, they're long and athletic, and don't try to be a hero every time you touch the ball. Like, let's move the ball, shot fake, and our guys are all listening. This is 2 days out, 1 day's out. We toss up the ball, whatever. First, 5 times, whoever touches the ball, they try to shoot, and Broom is pinning the ball and going the other way. It's like
God.
15-2, so
Man.
Hopefully they take to the pregame speech a little bit better about sharing the ball this go around. But no, we're thrilled to be in that event as well.
That's cool. Yeah, the jungle has become, which is shocking if you know Auburn's history.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always just been a football school and basketball, big afterthought. But obviously, with the influx of Bruce Pearl and the SEC's commitment to basketball all happening, it's a rising tide.
Unbelievable.
And it became impossible to win there for nearly anybody.
Yeah.
I went to Washington, and they went down there a few years ago with Hopkins.
Yeah.
And the game was over in a minute.
I know.
It was 26-2. It was like your game, 26-2,
and
it was so
the
devastating.
lines getting in, and just the everybody loud going before. And look,
it's a party.
It's a party, and it's fun to be a part of, right? You want to challenge, have your guys have that challenge, see that environment, see what you can do. So again, hopefully it goes better than it did last time. But what they've done at Auburn is phenomenal.
All right, so tell us about the new look Mocs. I, for one, am pretty fired up about Teddy Washington. I got to see him quite a bit at CBL.
Yeah.
Think he's got a chance to be. Did he make it? Yeah, he did. He's on our.
I didn't even see who made.
Yeah, so we got Cullen Mulholland.
Yep.
Jakari Johnson.
Yep.
And Teddy Washington Jr. So 3 Mocs.
Gotcha.
Leading the way on the all-conference team. But I've talked to a bunch of coaches already, and they're throwing darts, trying to figure out who belongs on this preseason team.
It's so hard. I had to lean on my assistant's coach because I didn't know.
Here, you fill it out.
Yeah, no doubt. So, 5 years ago, I might have been fired if we had 9 new guys in consecutive years. We had 9 new guys last year. What's wrong with you? And it's kind of par for the course, if you will. So it's, the challenge is getting them all on the same page. I like our talent level. I like the character of our guys, which means the world to us. We bring in good guys to our program. It's getting them all on the same page, what we do philosophically on both ends of the ball, a little bit of the culture of your program as well. And then hopefully them playing unselfish, but a couple of people to point out of the new guys, Teddy Washington, certainly. Jordan Fryson's another really good guard that we got from Pittsburgh State, transferred up. Brendan Watkins is a young man that was with us at VMI. It's like the last possible guy that was at VMI that could continue to play for us because
that's
much time has passed.
Yeah, it's still eligible.
That's right. Yeah. So Billy Smith is a shooter from Bellarmine. Jakari Johnson, who he brought up, was at Trevecca Nazarene, came in as another guy that can drill shots and athletic. And then Sebastian Hartman, another young man. So and you mentioned Teddy Washington. I think he hung about 25 on us last year.
Yeah.
He played at Seton.
That's right.
So he's really good, so so again, getting them in tune with how we do things, there's a little change compared to some of their former stops, but amongst 3 freshmen coming in that are doing well as well.
Well, with your offensive system, you basically have core concepts, right?
Yeah.
So is it simplified to the point where you can bring in a bunch of new guys, and where are they in the progress right now? We got about 5 weeks to go. Is there anything that keeps you up at night right now?
Yeah, a lot keeps me up at night, to be honest with you.
What are the top 2 or 3?
Yeah. Just, we have them during the summer, which is useful. And now we have them, X amount of days in the preseason. We might be 6 practices in. So a little bit of the terminology and the way we do things, but it is good in that it's conceptually based, right? So it's not, I guess you could argue it's harder or easier, but it's not memorizing set plays. It's like, hey, what happens when things break down, and you see the same concepts come up over and over again. So our guys have done a good job of picking it up. You kind of have to tweak things a little bit based upon all these new faces each year, right? When you had 10 of your 13 guys coming back, even, 10 games into the year, you'll be drawn up a play. And you remember this from last year when you have 10, 13, and they're like, oh yeah, I remember that, baseline out of bounds. Well, now, you tried referring to something from the previous year and you realize like, hey, nobody knows what the heck you're talking about, So challenges that everyone's going through.
Rewind, it's like hit and rewind.
That's right. Yeah. And just kind of fresh start. So you have to figure out how much to put in, how early. But it's a challenge that we're all facing and exciting at the same time.
Are you doing anything defensively different coming into the year?
Hopefully playing defense.
Yeah, I was like, you got into some shootouts last year.
I tease about that, but we certainly point out the defense.
Nobody likes asking defensive questions.
Yeah, I know. And look, we kind of understand the numbers and everything, right? Like we are pretty efficient offensively relative to our competition at a mid-major level or what have you. Where we can make strides is the defensive end, and we did something last year where we were put more of an emphasis on it. We're not willing to just scrap everything offensively, or not scrap everything, but only work on it 10% of the time and be a defensive team 90% of the time. I'm not willing to do that, but we have to emphasize it because that's where we can make our most strides on the defensive end. So I think a lot of it is just a mindset. There might be some little tweaks here or there that we might do differently, whether it's doubling the post or handling ball screens differently or what have you. But some of it is just the guys being bought into it. And Teddy Washington, one young man that you mentioned, like he cares about getting stops and he's got quick twitch muscles and he sees things, defense, good instincts. So that helps as well. So we're hoping to keep our offense where it is or maybe get a little bit better and then really ramp up the defensive side so that we can continue to improve as a program.
Terrific. Well, we can't wait to see the encore from last year's NIT championship. Before I let you go, is there a season goal? I'm sure there might be multiple, but that you're focused on to just continue raising the bar for an already really impressive run you've had at Chattanooga?
Yeah, you know what? I don't know that we don't talk specifics with goals. Our guys do know that we're trying to win the Southern Conference, of course, Southern Conference, and then get to the NCAA tournament. So, and I think, we just look at this in stages of like, hey, for as cliche as it sounds, whatever, and I apologize, but just get better every day. Yeah. This thing is a process, and you're going to get, I do have to point out a really good friend, but Lenny Acuff's at Sanford, and super thrilled for him, but I couldn't be more upset because he's an unbelievable coach. He went. He freaking wins. Put it on us last year. You're going to get punched in the face at different times when he was at Lipscomb, and it was kind of a wake-up call for us. So we're not going undefeated this year, obviously, but you just got to persevere throughout and continue to get better, and hopefully you're playing your best basketball late. So that's the plan again this year, and we'll see what we can do.
Well, thanks for doing this, Dan, and congrats on all the success thus far.
Appreciate it.
Looking forward to seeing you guys.
Good spending time with you.
Yeah, you too, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, welcome back to Media Day here in Greenville, South Carolina. I'm joined by the Citadel head coach, Ed Conroy. Ed, how are you doing so far today?
Doing great. Hard to believe that this is we're getting this thing really going. The season is here.
It is. And I mean, what was your off season like? I mean, I know at the military academy it's a little different, but you were able to bring in 4 Division II players, which I was impressed by, and a player from Iowa who's got some experience. So.
No, yeah, obviously, like everybody, rosters are turning over, each year, and the recruiting goes, well into the summer. So a lot of things with that. We also, though, took a trip to Costa Rica, which a lot of teams don't take the foreign trips anymore. But I thought it was important for this group. So busy summer, but productive summer, and it was great to get to know our new group.
That's terrific. And how did you play in Costa Rica? I haven't had a chance to catch up on the
results.
Played
2 games down there against the Costa Rican national team.
Okay.
We were able to win both of them, but that wasn't. They were good competitive games, and I was glad that their national team was able to be there at that time, and so it was a great experience for our guys.
No, that's great, and I think one of the things I was curious about, just because covering all these leagues and knowing Air Force how hard it is for them, for example, to bring in players either via the portal or some other avenue. Why is it at the Citadel is a little more possible to bring guys up from D2 and even take a player in Kingsbury from Iowa? Can you maybe walk us through that a little bit? The
main thing comes down to we have a graduate school that is very established and has a great academic part of our school. So our master's in business program and teaching and leadership, and so it's we have that to offer. And obviously Charleston's an attractive destination, so we've been able to take advantage of that a little bit where the other military schools don't have that component. So we do that, but we still want it to be, and that's probably the thing I'm most excited about. Not probably, I am most excited about. the cadet student athletes still going to be the core of what we do. And the fact that we were able to retain really for the first time, Christian Moore, Keenan Davis are coming back,
Right.
Eze Wally and Dante Kearse and some of those guys, Rowan Ireland. We were able to retain the core of our cadet student athletes coming back, and then we added 4 freshmen to that I think will really do well. So, but it is tough because it's when you want to do it that way, and we were able to sign a couple guys early last fall, but the recruiting takes place so late, and finding fits to be a cadet student athlete in the late spring, that's a tough thing, and it's really tough when the relationship part has been sped up. That's a big part of it. Is the 2 and 3 year relationships are kind of gone now, but that's what really told you that and lets you believe that person would be a great fit on our campus as a cadet, and you don't have those relationships anymore.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I know with it, you've spent so much time there, but with now your second stint and you're so familiar with the place.
Actually, my third because I played there
that's
as well.
true.
So,
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah.
I mean, so
I got time at VMI too, so I get a little. I got several of those.
Yeah, you got awareness on all ends of the spectrum in the SoCon and just the different things you can do and what you can't do, and the demands on the players. Right, it's obviously different at the Citadel than
Yes.
Chattanooga, for example, right? So can you speak to a little bit of like what their daily life is like and why, Christian Moore and the other returners that you mentioned, really exciting that they came back, but why kids like that decide to come back?
Well, Christian was thrilled to get in the car last night and drive up here and spend the night at a hotel and do media day to day. That's so he gets to be put on special orders in order to do that. But otherwise, he would be up, bright and early in the morning, and you have couple formations every day, and our guys never miss class. They're always there, and then so it's a pretty packed day all the way up until 3:00, and then it's basketball practice and right back to a formation and mandatory study hall. And so the day from early in the morning, somewhere around 6 a.m. to 10:30, 11 p.m. It's a packed day, but it's We've done it before where we showed you can play high level basketball, with that type of schedule. And I think it's the best place there is to develop players, because I think so much of the development comes off the court. And so if you do it right and you can keep some continuity and keep guys, I think the things they learn from being a cadet really pay off when they get to that senior year.
No, it is a packed day, but going in the afternoon probably translates well once you get to the season. You play mostly evening time games, right?
Right.
And do you feel like this group, because of some of those guys back, and obviously you're integrating older players for the most part, are you further along this year than last year? And plus the trip, like.
Right. So that was all part of it. You finally get some guys returning that have been around you for a couple of years, and they can speak to the standards. They can help you, install things. They can be that voice in the locker room for you. But that's why I wanted to take the trip, where a lot of teams don't do that now, is we talk about wanting them to be leaders, but you got to give them an opportunity to do it. And when you do have, a few guys that live off campus because they're graduate students, they're not around them all day long. So when are they going to get a chance to lead until as you see how fast the season comes upon us once school starts? We have September, and here we are already in media day, right?
Right.
So by having those practices in the summer, having games in the summer, those guys get a chance to be the leaders that we're hoping they can be, and they get a chance to know those teammates, and we get to do a lot of things together. So that was why the summer was so important to us. And but Christian and Keenan and Rowan and those guys who are back and have multiple years with us, they've made the biggest jumps, and that's what you always enjoyed about coaching, is watching that process play out. Yeah. Unfortunately, you don't get to see it like that anymore.
Right. Yeah. Just the ability to watch the kids develop and stay within the program. It's so rare to see. It's good that you've had a few at least come back. And what are you guys focused on? Like, what keeps you up at night? We still have 5 more weeks, right? Yeah. So what keeps you up at night most about this group? What do they need to work on the most? Would you say? Like, is there a particular area?
I think we're going to have
hammering.
I think we're going to have more depth than we've had, and so a lot of defining roles and guys understanding that we do have multiple guys that can score and have different talents. So we need to play a really an effort-based game where we just keep the intensity really, really high, so we can play maybe 9 or 10 guys. We haven't been able to do that before, but we need to make it so we can get everybody on the floor, and there's plenty of room for everybody. If we can get through and get some confidence early and get those wins, the spotlight will be plenty for everybody. So really just defining roles and trying to play that style where we can play 9 or 10 guys.
Yeah, and I think with last year, obviously it was disappointing to not break through, but you had 3 OT games that you were right there, 3 other really close ones.
Yeah,
Can you learn and carry over late game situations and lessons there?
I think so. No, and time and score situations and things have been a big part. It all is every year with us, but when you have a new team each year, sometimes it's harder to get to some of those spots. But we're able to do that this year because, again, the returnees, but also, like last year's team was very, very competitive in a lot of situations, but we weren't able to hit those key shots or those free throws down the stretch. I think we had several guys. You think free throw shooting is going to transfer from one level to the next, but so we had some guys that had some disappointing years from the free throw line, especially. But I think this year's team across the board, better shooting lineup, better free throw shooting team. We always work on it and teach it, but last year's team just lost confidence a little bit and wasn't able to get through on some of those wins early on, or get through those games early on to get those early wins and establish that confidence. I think this year's team is better suited to do that.
That's good to hear. Now, I think in my opinion, there's 3 phases to the season, right? You focus on yourself all summer and leading into these months into the fall, and then you have your non-conference part that you got to focus on those opponents. But as you look to step 3, which will be this league, I think it's clear Furman brought quite a bit back. And then, the Chattanoogas and the Samfords and the and ETSU, of course, I feel like they have a lot of upside and talent. But do you really feel like there's an opportunity here to make some progress in the standings? And what are your overall thoughts on that?
No question. I'm really excited coaching this group and seeing where they can go. And again, because I think we have a lot of different guys that can be a weapon for us and a much more balanced team playing both ends of the floor. We've always been, when we've been at our best, we've been really fundamentally sound and really good on that defensive end. And we were not that last year. We were not great on the defensive end, lacked a little bit of the foot speed, if you will. And then we weren't fundamentally sound as far as like we talked about, making free throws, handling the ball, those type of things. So I think this year's team gets us back to more of what our identity's always been when we've been at our best. And so excited about that. The league is always, I've been around this league forever, right? It's always, it always has great coaches and always has talent. I love the fact that it's a round robin schedule. Very few leagues do that anymore. I love the fact that it's a 2 tournament. I hope we can keep those things. Because it's hard to in this day of expansion and, teams coming and going. But I think there's nothing. Basketball's meant to be played with familiarity and proximity and those type of things. It's like playing against your big brother in the backyard. And so, when we play, I've been in Big Ten, SEC, ACC, but then when you play in those leagues, sometimes you play someone the first week in December, and you don't see them again until your conference tournament.
Right.
They're not really. There's no familiarity, and they're totally different teams by that point.
Right.
In the Southern Conference, we see you in January. We see you again in February. We each get a shot on our home floor, and then when we see you in March in that first round of the tournament, it's the 3rd time, and that's the way it should be.
Right. It feels like a playoff series.
It does, and when that happens, it's that's why playoff series are so great, because of familiarity, and they come right back at each other. And in this league, I think it increases everybody's level of play, and that's why the league does so well nationally. And I think in the tournament last year, you saw that whether it was the NIT or the NCAA, our teams are ready to compete in the postseason because of what they go through in the regular season.
Yeah, and I've always loved the size of the league. Now, obviously, Tennessee Tech joins next year. We'll address that in a year. But it's so much easier to raise your floor, right? These super conferences, you're almost inevitably going to have 3 or 4 where the bottom falls out, especially in the portal era. And the bigger leagues, of course, have money involved, much more money involved. So I wanted to wrap with your sons, because I had the privilege to be involved with scheduling for the last decade. So I did meet your son Hunt earlier this year, but obviously you guys came off the year you didn't need a lot of my guidance. So there's advantages to both, right? But Riley calls all the time.
Well, I think Riley's the last human being scheduling in the country. I think they might have finally finished theirs, but South Alabama, kudos to them. They had a fantastic year, and not a lot of people want to play them, so they've had a struggle getting those games scheduled. But
they almost came to your place for it.
We were trying to help him out a little bit, work it out. So, but proud of him and the job they're doing there at South Alabama. Coach Riley's a great coach.
Yeah, how cool is it to have your kids in the business?
It's awesome.
It's just never a dull moment.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's something we've shared the whole way. And my son Hunt he was with me at Minnesota, Vanderbilt, and then at Citadel. He has now since left to go into business up in Minnesota now. So so I won't have him this year, and I miss him already. But we're talking hoops every day. But Riley's still in it at South Alabama. And then I've got just blessed with nephews and brother-in-laws and others all over the place. I have my brother-in-law that's with the Raptors, and have a nephew at Iowa, and one in the trying to make it in the NBA right now, and another one down at South Alabama with Riley, another one of my nephews. So, yeah, it's fun. It's fun to follow it.
That's fantastic. Well, that was Ed Conroy. Thanks for joining us today.
All right.
We had a lot of fun with it, and we'll stay in touch. It was good
All
to
right.
finally
Thank
meet you in
you.
person.
All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You bet.
And we're back here at SoCon Media Day with East Tennessee State head coach and one of the sharpest young head coaches in America, Brooks Savage. Brooks, it's good to finally officially meet you in person.
Yeah, great to be here. Thanks for having me. This is cool that you guys cover this with so much, national media and stuff. Is really cool.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you. You had the best defense in conference play last year. You had a Chattanooga team that won the NIT. You had a Furman team that was hot and cold and really hot at the end. And then Wofford wins the damn thing in the end. And the year before, that was your first year, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
7 seed, dark horse, get to the final. You almost cut the nets down. So in those 2 years of learning, what would you reflect on, and what are you going to apply to this year that's a little different?
Oh, good question. Our big goal, we want to try to. I think a lot of teams don't make it to March for whatever reason. They have too much adversity, too much up and down. They can't withstand the ups and downs of the season. So that's always kind of our goal. I think the most important job of the head coach is to pace your team. So that's always really front of mind for me. And I feel like we have been playing really well. I mean, went 7-2 the back half this year. Both of those 2 losses, Jaden Seymour missed with injury. Finished with the number 1 defense in the league. The year before, obviously making the run, just starting to play. So that's always really important to us. But, this year I think will be a little bit different, just moving away from traditional center and having more of a continuous mobile front court, more skilled front court. So we'll be a little bit different and just a lot of new faces. So it's all still coming together. I think probably like a lot of coaches have probably said, just trying to figure this thing out. And so a lot of troubleshooting, I think, right now until we play somebody else.
So in practices recently, I know it's an evolution and it'll be different in a couple weeks from now, right? Are you focusing more on offense or defense, or about half and half?
Yeah, we've really probably a little bit more offensive lean, but we try to put offense and defense in immediately in the summer and then just start working on both sides of the ball. But it's probably a little bit of an offensive lean just because there's probably a big emphasis on being able to play better offense and score more. Last year, it was a struggle at times. I think that was probably more personnel based. As good as we were defensively, we weren't as good offensively. I think we were really good, especially there in the middle part of the year. And then just the injuries, I think, caught up with us with John Buggs and then Jaden Seymour coming back from the knee. We just weren't the same. And in the end, we just didn't have enough offense. And, Kimari, went on a huge run. He averaged 25 points a game right there down the stretch. And then
Kind of had to, right?
yeah, he just put us on his back. And then, unfortunately, we ran into a really hot Wofford team, and we didn't have it that night, and that's how it ends. But so trying to play better offense, trying to recruit more competent offensive players. But then on the flip side, then you have to coach the toughness, you have to coach the physicality that you give up when you do that. So trying to find the right balance there.
So defensively, how were you able to achieve as much success as you did, being the best, at least in league play defense, and carrying that momentum into the tournament? How did you get there? And what's you don't have to give us the
Yeah, it's I think we finished like 101.5 defensive efficiency raw in league, which I think was really good. And the last 4 games, I think we were right out of 1, maybe a hair below it, but right out of 1 the last 4 games of the regular season. But I think we went a little smaller, mobile front court with DJ Hughes. That allowed us to be a little different in pick and roll. I think when you're just always in the drop, you just T.O. called it earlier, death by downhill, and it is. You're just always taking punches. So and so when you have traditional centers, I think they're limited sometimes on what coverage you can play. I think they have to be elite rim protection guys to be able to do that. I can think of probably one in our league that is probably capable of that, and Cooper Bowser. But so we wanted to be able to do different things defensively, put out more fires, be a little bit more versatile, and we were at the end of the year. So we've continued on in that path. But offensively, just being a little bit more organized off missed shots. So I think we're a little bit more traditional secondary break than probably not as much offensive freedom on missed shots as maybe in years past. But you know, the some of the stuff that will never change. You know, being really connected, being in great shape, hardest playing.
Communication.
Yeah, just you know, it's the identity. You know, hardest playing, best condition, most connected, toughest team, and so you know we'll have to really lean on that, and that's non-negotiable. So no matter what the roster looks like necessarily, I think you can always be those things. Those are within your control, and so you know, just trying to play to the identity and practice the identity every day and build that out, and then we'll see where we're at here in about a few weeks when we have a close scrimmage.
And I think I've heard just on some previous interviews you've done this year that you really like this group.
I do,
Would you
yeah.
say that?
Yeah, they're super coachable, no BS. They're serious, tough-minded players. I think they're really committed to winning. You know, we have some bad days where we don't have it, or you know, along the way like anybody else, and those growing pains. I think we're working through those and trying to, you know, figure out you know, who we are still. But I think everybody is kind of at the same place like that right now. So that's always a work in progress. And again, you don't really know till you play somebody else. Like, you have a really good offensive day. Are you a good offensive team, or is your defense bad? So trying to like really evaluating your own team is the most difficult thing. And so we try to play a lot, and you know, just let the possessions just play it out, and you know, see what's what. You know, at the end of you know, your practice here in the middle of October, and then you go play somebody else and reevaluate. So I think you're constantly playing, evaluating, watching the tape, that cycle. But I like this group. They're super coachable, and they come with a good attitude every day to the gym. So they're fun to be around.
Awesome. What's your defensive metrics drink of choice when you talk about a 1.01 defensive rating? What's your tool?
Just straight points per possession. Yeah, we
individually tracked, or you use a system?
You can get it off the stat sheet. You know.
Oh, I got you. Just do the formula.
Yeah, so that's like a quick way to do it, but there's some other stuff that we like to look at and track, and you know, I think the points per possession, it's a report card number, that's an N number, and then you got to go figure out why that was how it was, you know, whether it was good or bad. And then there's some other stuff that goes into that, and just trying to you know, execute that stuff. But the process of how you get to that number, I think, is a lot more important than the number itself. And the thing about that number is, too, not to get off on a soapbox, like, it's not going to be like 101.5 is not going to be the number when you play Chattanooga. That goal that night is going to be a little higher, so you better be able to score. Like, I thought when we held Chattanooga 201 last year, I think it's 71 on 71. I think we're probably the only team to do that in the league. We didn't play well on offense, and so, but to beat good teams, you have to do both. And so that number, you know, is going to fluctuate based on the opponent. Some nights it should be 0.9, you know. And so, but again, the process of how you become a good defensive team, I think, you know, I think we're big and physical and tough, and you know, some of that was personnel, and some of that was having an older group. So, got to try to find ways to capture that same result.
Yeah. No, I'm enthralled by it. The only chance I get to do real forecast work is the preseason, because after the games, I'm using real data, and then I'm forecasting off real data.
Yep.
So I put all this off-season work in, but two of my forever rules of thumb is, how do you defend, and, you know, my own assessment of how good the head coach is, which is not always fair, because, you know, I go to way more practices than I used to go to in the old days of just being a junkie.
Yeah.
I'm actually involved. I was at a practice yesterday in the Sun Belt. But, like, my point is that those are foundational. And I live by St. Mary's, right? And Chattanooga.
I love RB.
Yeah, RB's the best.
RB's a big diehard Trilogy fan, so we'll text each other yippee-ki-yay after we win and stuff. I've gotten to know him well. He's the best. Man, he's a terrific coach.
Great guy to know.
Yeah.
Great guy to know. And so what I noticed about their game against Vanderbilt in the first round last year, and I tracked it just, you know, I was just watching it in public, wasn't there. I think I counted 13 stops in a row against Vanderbilt. They were going into that sequence, they were down 12. At the end, they were up 4. And that's just kind of how, you know, and after watching games with enough of you guys, that's how I look at it. Like, and I was curious, do you guys focus on stringing stops together?
Yeah, I think consecutive stops is important. Yeah, I mean, kills or turkeys, 3 in a row. Yeah, for sure. I think there is some truth to that. Like, I think consecutive stops in a row is a good thing to track. We try to do some some paint touch stuff, contesting, some stuff like that. Um, you know, and then I think you're always kind of evaluating your pick and roll coverage. Are we getting, are we covering it the right way and stuff like that? But yeah, I mean, uh, what gets measured gets done. We just can't measure everything, so we just try to pick a few things that we really like and then stick to that. And the guys should know too, like what's really important. So we try to keep it simple so that they know what's really important, and so that stuff gets done.
I do have to call out real quick. I did notice, and again, I know a lot of you guys were throwing darts on the all-conference team because it's a lot of portal guys. But Jalen Smith is on the preseason all SoCon team here as voted today. A few words about Jalen and his game and what he's bringing.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously had a really good 2 years at North Florida, and a guy that we brought in. We expected him to be an impact guy for us. Again, past success doesn't dictate future success. So you always got to constantly be proving yourself. I mean, he's stepped up to a higher level. He's also coming from a place that didn't guard, and so going from a bad defensive team to a team that finished first and who really kind of hangs their hat on that end of the floor. That's I think been an adjustment for the type of defensive effort that is demanded. And so, yeah, I mean, we have a lot of confidence in him, and I think they've won big games. I mean, they beat South Carolina and Georgia Tech last year, and he's
First week.
yeah, and he had good year, good numbers, and a guy that can really pass and can spray the ball out of pick and roll, and so can make shots. So he's talented, and it's just about stepping up to a little bit higher level and being able to now go from a guy that stats to a guy that can impact winning.
No, that's great. I think it's fascinating. I see programs like yours. You had the player of the year last year, Peterson out at Washington. Bugs was awesome. Others, I'm probably leaving out. But you can now recruit off that, right? So you can get a Jalen Smith because, hey, come play for the Bucks.
Yeah.
Obviously you might get an offer you can't refuse, but like if out of the guys you can reasonably get, this is now a recruiting tool, right?
Sure. I mean, you have to have great point guard play to be a good team. I don't know of any team that doesn't have good point guard. So it starts there. I thought Alan Struthers has had a good camp so far, preseason and start of practice, and so looking for him. This guy's been in the program. This is his last year. Like hopefully, you get the best version of him. But yeah, I mean, been fortunate to have Kimari, Ty Appleby at Wake Forest, Alondis Williams at Wake Forest, and just even going back to our ETSU teams from before, Isaiah Tisdale, DeSante Bradford, Jelon Gwynn, yeah, so you got to have great point guard play, and so it was an important spot for us, and so we've got to, we like the guys that can play that position for us this year, and we just, but you got to have it. If without good guard play, I mean, Chattanooga won it. They had two really good guards, and Wofford won the tournament, and guard play there at the end. So got to have it.
Last thing for you.
Yeah.
Are you getting on an airplane this year ever?
No, probably not.
You might be one of the only teams at this level that can pull that off. I think this is fascinating. Obviously, the schedule.
Yeah, that was the number one goal, was to no flights.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking about it because I saw you in Rock Hill on a recruiting deal, but there's so many recruiting deals in this part of the country.
Yeah.
You might not ever have to get on a plane. You got no miles.
Yeah, I know. It's real. I had built my miles and my Marriott points up really good when I was at Wake Forest. I mean, I was rocking. But no, it's last year we went 3 games in a row, where we flew. I think it was. I'd have to look back, but it was like 3 straight Fridays where we're getting up super early to catch a commercial flight, and that travel takes a toll on you, and it's expensive. I mean, all of our budget is in one bucket, and so it's kind of like you tell your wife or whoever, like, you want to buy those shoes or you want 10 Starbucks coffees,
Right.
so you got to decide, make decisions on what's important to you. So like all of the racket, scouting services, analytics stuff, like we try to stay away from, because we want to invest all of our money into the roster and the schedule.
For sure.
And so by not flying, it's $20,000 you save right there. By not getting on that plane. And I think that sometimes the travel can wear your team out too, which I think happened to us a little bit last year. I mean, we flew a return game to Kansas City. Like, why would we do that?
Right.
So that's why I like the alliance stuff that our league does with the ASUN, and I think Big South in the future. Yeah. So, luckily we got Dayton and Carolina for, some big games but again, no plane. So just staying on the bus, I think will really help us.
Well, it's fascinating. It's good to officially meet. I don't think we talked when I came, but in 2020, it was my last trip before the shutdown.
Yeah.
Furman at ETSU for first place.
Hell of a game.
It was unbelievable. Sold out. It's my only time I've been to Freedom Hall.
Yep, that was.
I want to come back next time it's like that, and that's what I usually get out to in February. But it was tremendous. And when people think of 2020, especially a mid-major, they always talk about Dayton and San Diego State.
Yeah.
East Tennessee State, maybe not a 1 seed, but they were damn good and deserved to be inside the cut line.
For sure.
If you wouldn't,
if we'd have lost, I thought we had a pretty good case to be a at large. We won 12 in a row, and I hate it for those guys not getting to experience that, but they left their mark nonetheless.
A couple games too.
Even who knows?
Right.
Who knows?
It's all about matchups.
So
I appreciate all your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
If you didn't hear, for the audience, they have an exhibition game in mid-October with Steve Forbes and Wake Forest coming back to Johnson City. That should be pretty electric. I'll try to figure out a way to watch that.
Yeah, October 29th. Yeah, hopefully it'll be sold out, and
late October,
and get Coach Forbes back in Freedom Hall.
Beautiful. Thank you,
boys.
All
right, thanks for having me.
Right,
good to see you.
Season. You too. Welcome back to SoCon Media Day. I'm joined by the one and only Bob Ritchie, Furman head coach. And Bob, how's Media Day so far? How are the guys looking? I think in my off-season analysis, SoCon lost a lot of guys, let's be honest. But
SoCon did.
You were able to keep some guys. What was that process like, and how's the off-season developing for you?
Well, it's we were able to retain, most of the guys, really all the guys that had eligibility left that played, roles last year. And in today's time, you can't even put a price tag on that. So, we're really excited about some of the returners. They had some good off-season work and development. But then we also have 5 new freshmen, and then we have, Asa Thomas transfer from Clemson. So 6 players are new, which in the world today, that's not a ton, but for us, it's the most we've ever had. And so, we're having to go slower in some areas, and we're having to get a couple young guys ready to play. But we've also had some guys that are returners that have made some pretty good jumps this offseason. So, mixing new returning together and getting it all to one, especially with how we play, it's going to be a critical piece for us.
Positional size, I think, is something that stands out in comparison to the rest of the league. Was that a big priority, or did it kind of just fall into place that way?
I think everybody evolves as coaches. I think for me, that's something that how we play it, how much cutting we do in the space. Like I have kind of trended more towards the bigger players. If you can get them, you never want to substitute skill for size, but if you can find skill with size, that's always going to be a plus. I think, we've changed a couple guys' positions. We've always done that in off season. Johnston, we've moved him from playing the 5 with Bowser. We've moved him to strictly 4. And he really has adjusted well to that. And he's looked like a completely different player this off season, playing that 4 spot that Heen and Slauson and those guys have kind of occupied the last few years. A little bit more facing, shooting, driving.
Love those guys.
And, to give us a unique opportunity at this level to be double big and to be 6'11" out there. And it's not something, I've done a lot in my 8 years. So, always looking to adapt, always looking to innovate, and, looking forward to having those 2 guys out there together some.
Did you get to study I'm just guessing, but did you study some of what like Michigan did last year in Florida and some of the guys playing a lot too big?
So we definitely looked at a couple teams.
It's a big trend, I feel like.
Dusty and I are good friends, and we've talked a decent amount in the off season. What they did was very, very good. And, even a little bit different than how we play, but I was able to spend a little time with Rick Barnes this summer and watch Tennessee a little bit just in terms of what they did with Milicic and what they did with Opera down there, just playing with some shooting and then playing with double big, but with the skilled 4 and not exactly the same, but just getting more ideas around, okay, what is we've gone through this phase of basketball where there's one, sometimes no bigs. And then now you're starting to see a little bit this double big idea come back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, you mentioned Florida, but you think about Arizona, you think about Gonzaga, you think about, you know, there's this list of teams where they're playing more double big. So, you know, I think it's the pendulum always swings, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, at the end of the day, you got to find a way to put your best 5 players out there. I've always been a believer in that. But in order for us to get our best 5, then we have to get those 2 out there together. So it's just forced us to innovate a little bit.
Do you think we'll see, and I know like Dan Earl at Chattanooga, for example, does this often, the Paladins running a lot of offense through the 5 at the top and just play through that way?
We will some. I mean, we've done that historically for years, and it's how we've always played, really. I mean, just elbows and top of key and short corners and figuring out different cutting patterns and figuring out different concepts to run off of those actions. It's what we did with Slauson, you know,
right.
And obviously, you know, his transition to be able to get drafted and play conceptually through those post players. The trick is, okay, how do you do that with 2? And that's where we've been, you know, having some time in the summer to experiment. Like this, don't like this, take this, don't take this. You know, it's been a little bit of a fun project. We had to innovate in the middle of the year last year. And, you know, we had a great non-conference schedule in terms of quality of opponent and some really good teams. Princeton, Harvard, Florida Gulf Coast, Seattle, Kansas, probably leaving a couple out, but just, you know, but we ended up going 12-1 with the only loss to Kansas. And most people played us pretty conventionally because they weren't as familiar with our personnel. Then we get in the league and people start putting, you know, defenders in the paint and on 3 guys. And so we had to innovate in the late half of the year, February, of getting a little bit more off the ball screening action. And it was actually kind of fun. You know, we went on I guess we won our last 6 or 7 or something like that. Got hot at the right time.
Yep.
And, you know, so we've carried that into the summer and just how do we still look like Furman, playing conceptual, ball movement, cutting, but then can we insert a little bit more, you know, screening action in this and play double big? And it's been a fun little challenge.
No, that's cool. I love the insight because it was you had basically 3 different seasons, right? Like
we did.
You had the hot start, then you had the bump, and then you got hot again.
Yeah, we played our best ball at the end, right? And we were playing even better than we were at the beginning, but we had that rough little middle patch that we had to work through. And you know, but that's seasons are lifetimes, right? Seasons are marathons, and
crazy.
You know, you have to be able to innovate. You have to be able to adjust, and our team did a great job with it. Of just, you know, you're figuring out do we adjust roster, do we adjust minutes, or do we adjust scheme? And you know, the season goes so quick. It's one of those things where you better be right. And we tried to adjust the minutes and who we started, and that didn't work. And so we were like, hey, let's go back to the guys that got us to where we were, and let's just change schematically what we're doing a little bit, and it worked out.
No, that's great. Tell us a little bit about the new arena. Like, first of all, my bad for never getting to a Furman home game, but I have seen you at the Myrtle Beach. I've seen you at ETSU.
Yep.
I feel like I've seen you a million places, but those 2 for sure. But
well, they
here in Greenville,
man,
they did a new building.
They did an unbelievable job with it, and it's mid-major size with high major amenities, and I think that's going to be the most unique part is the amenity structure. There's 10 boxes. There's a courtside lounge for all the courtside seats. So there's 80 courtside seats, and then they have their own lounge in the end zone. You have another, basically like almost like a sports bar on the concourse.
Cool.
That you got all the TVs and you got the food, you got the drink. There's a space for everybody. We'll have a real students section now, which is going to be really neat. There's going to be a family section with a kids zone with like a indoor playground. I mean, they literally thought of everything. And our AD, Jason Donnelly, you know, is one of the best ADs in the country. And, you know, he came from Villanova when they had just done a renovation. And so he was able to just the ideas and the thought that they put into it with the help of, you know, a great architect and Ken Betch and then, you know, the rest of our team, Aaron Mays and some other people. It's just neat how it all came together. The whole front is different. We didn't have much curb appeal before.
Yeah.
You kind of drove up and, you know, you can miss the gym a little bit. You can't miss it now. I mean, it's glass front, lit up. I mean, it just looks the excellence of what we want to have in our program. You can see that in our facility now, and it's gonna be a pretty neat little surprise, you know, when people walk in there.
That's exciting, man. I'm fired up. I'm coming back, guys. I'm coming back, and I got to come to opening day. We got Rock Hill, High Point. I like that opportunity for you. High Point has to replace a lot, but it's obviously an extremely talented club.
Well, I mean, you just at this point, I think early in my coaching career, used to really get hung up on, non-conference schedules and who you're playing. At this point, the way scheduling goes, you just have to accept that, great teams are going to get paired up with great teams, and great programs are going to get paired up with great programs. And you've got to take those opportunities and learn from them. And, hey, let's just go, first night, field of 68 there in Rock Hill on neutral.
Yeah.
NCAA tournament team, from a year ago, and obviously have done a great job up there. So we're looking forward to the challenge. The quicker you learn about yourself, the better you can get for league play. And I think that's always the challenge for me, is figuring out, okay, let's, Alabama's going to open up the building, and then we're going to go play High Point in a neutral. And then, oh, by the way, another tournament team in Troy's coming Friday night to Timmons. I mean, we're going to find out really quickly what we're about. And, but that's what you want.
Yeah, last question for you. So Tom House, Cooper Bowser named to the all-conference team. I just got a copy of it. But obviously Ben Vanderwall is a heck of a leader. Are those three the leaders, would you say? Or are we missing somebody here?
I mean, we're kind of putting this all together, and I think our best teams have always had multiple leaders. I think one guy would say, again, this all-conference stuff, I mean, it's amazing we still do preseason all-conference.
Like, people are just throwing spaghetti at the wall, right?
I mean, the league was emailing me saying you're late. I'm like, well, I don't know who these guys are. Like, who am I supposed to put on here? But, I would say Charles Johnston has been a guy for us this summer that has probably grown the most leadership in terms of somebody that wasn't mentioned there.
Yeah.
Ben Vanderwall is a leader by nature. He's a glue guy. He's going to be a guy that's just always about the right things.
Yep.
Tom really took off late last year, and I fully expect him to continue that. And then Cooper. I mean, Cooper's just got a chance to be a special player, and with his ability to score the rim, protect the rim, with his size and his versatility, I think it's going to be a lead by committee team. And our best teams, that's how it's been. I don't think you see as many of the singular leader. I think there's different personalities. I think there's different leadership styles. Can you have enough message? Can you have enough modeling and all that come together to where you're getting all that energy in one direction? I think that's going to be the trick for this team.
No, that's great to hear. I can't wait to see another journey with you at the helm, and I know you're always figuring out how to get them humming at the right time, late February, and we'll be talking about you a lot all year.
3-game season at this level, as you know, right?
That's right.
You're always trying to learn, always trying to figure it out, and then you got to be your best. You got to be your best once it comes to March. And it's a fun group. We got a lot of personality, and we got some young guys that are talented, but they got to learn how to play in our system and our style. And we got a great group of returners. So we're looking forward to getting the journey started.
All right. Well, congrats on all the success so far. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Rocco.
And
Appreciate your time.
In touch with you.
Definitely.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Welcome back, SoCon Media Day, and we have the privilege right now to be joined by Mercer head coach Ryan Miller. Ryan, we're almost to the end of the day. How's it treating you so far here in Greenville?
It's been good. I think you feel excitement in the air. Everyone's ready. We're all into practices, full 20-hour weeks, and just seeing guys walk around in jerseys and start talking about the season. Man, fired up for year 2.
Nice. So we got a lot of newcomers.
Yeah,
but there's some guys I like.
Yeah.
And I guess we can start with Baraka Okoji. And Okoji, I thought, at one point I thought he could break through at Memphis. He just didn't get enough run. But when he did get his chances, gets really downhill, teammates involved, I think he can be a real star at this level, potentially.
Yeah, I think, you hit it right on the head. I think in our opinion, he has a chance to be one of the better guards in the league. You look at his George Mason numbers, he's elite at getting to the free throw line. Had an opportunity in Memphis, but he's playing behind some really good guards and obviously got a chance a little later. But I think the thing that sticks out is one, he's really good at basketball, but he's an elite leader, man. Guys are connected to him. They draw to him. I think he can really facilitate, but I think he can lead our group the way we want to be led.
That's huge. Yeah, and obviously Brandon Shoulders back. I mean, he's kind of a de facto leader.
Dude, he's the man.
He's the man.
He's a sophomore. He was voted as a team captain by all the newcomers. He's tough as can be. He can make a shot. Knows how to play basketball. He's just a guy that can really help you. But he can help you win basketball games in this league.
Yeah, it's big time. So let's backtrack just a second. So for me personally, coming over from SWAC to the SoCon, I guess all three.
Yeah.
What was year one like? The journey, the lessons. What can you take from year one and apply to year two that you'll make tweaks on? Maybe whether it's travel, offense, defense, anything like that.
Yeah, I think that's such a good question because it's really true. Like when I was at Bethune-Cookman, and then when we were at UT Martin, then here, you have your non-negotiables. How you want to play, but then you have a flexible approach. And I think for us, really targeting and identifying what's our niche at Mercer. How do we win? Not Furman, not Wofford, not ETSU, not whoever. How do we win at Mercer? And I think it took us till probably mid-February to figure out, hey, this is the type of kid we want to recruit. This is the style we need to play. This is how we're going to win at Mercer. And I think that's, obviously it helps with the travel and the bus trips and understanding the other offenses and defenses. But really it took us, almost a full year to figure out, man, this is how we're going to get Mercer to the top.
So going into this year, based on that, and based on some of the new faces, have you changed the way you approach practice, like on a day-to-day process level? Whether, what are the things that, I guess, before practice started, you really wanted to put an emphasis on, and now that we're weeks in for it, what keeps you up at night still?
Yeah, I think so. In recruiting, and even the guys we retain, we talked about having IQ, having toughness, and having shooting. You had to have those three. If you didn't have one of them, you had to have at least 2 out of 3. Love to be happy if you had all 3. But the IQ and the toughness in this league is probably, I don't know if it's underrated, but I didn't understand the actual physical toughness because you see such a good offensive league. But we got some real off-ball toughness in this league. And I think for us at Mercer, I got such great respect for all these guys, that have been coaching at an elite level. Specific to the offensive side, we've realized, man, this thing's got to be one for us on the defensive side. We've got to get like-minded dudes that are connected, that want to compete and disrupt offenses. And so, 75-80% of our practices are dictated on, toughness, physicality, finding ways to be disruptive and not letting guys just come in and run offense all day.
That's the word toughness. There's not many programs, I think, are from the lower levels that can exonerate that more than like the Wagner Seahawks. And so going to Zaire Williams from Wagner, a team that's used to winning in the 40s.
Yeah.
Has that been an awesome change for the rest of the guys?
Dude,
just get used to that level.
If there's a mentally and physically more tough kid in our league, then kudos to him because he's the same guy every day. He hasn't had a bad day since he's been here. He's played great every day, but he hasn't had a bad day since he's been here. Same guy every day. Guys draw on it. He is a connector. He's got great instincts. Shot the ball from 3 better as a senior. If he can continue, he's at 35%. If he can go 36, 37, I think he's got a chance to be a really good player in our league.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Last question for you. Non-conference wise, we basically got 3 seasons, right? You got the preparation phase that we're on with a couple exhibition games. Then you'll move into non-conference. I know you have a couple road guarantee games. Will be lesson learners probably.
Yeah.
But what are you trying to achieve in the non-conference? And then ultimately, getting to play your best ball by March. Kind of how do you? You can't. There's no crystal ball, but what's the game plan?
Yeah, I think early on, we get 13 opportunities in the non-conference, and obviously we're going to have some high majors in there. We open up at Tennessee. I think it'll be a great experience. I think it'll be a great atmosphere. You open up college basketball in front of probably 18, 19, 20,000 people. But I think that the true test for us, we're going to play the Lipscombs, Elon, App State, Georgia State, EKU, teams that are maybe a little more like our league. And I think that 13 game span, we've got to figure out what is our identity. How do we become the best version of that, and who do we play? And I think if you can do those 3 things in the non-conference, I think that sets you up to play your best basketball during the Southern Conference play.
And in Southern Conference play, you're trying to narrow it down to about 8 guys, rotation-wise?
Yeah.
Or are you open to playing 9 to 10 right now?
I'm open to what's best for our group. And, the teams that I've had that were the best, we played about 7.5 guys. And there's just something about a group that's connected. And I think sometimes it's hard in this new landscape where you're getting guys for 9 months, but I still think it's a team sport when you get guys that are connected, that are all about the same things. And I think, if it's 9, great. If it's 7, it's 11, whatever's best for that particular group.
That's awesome. I love the coaches that can just mold and adjust based on their personnel.
Yeah.
Sounds like that's what we're at.
Trying to do.
Awesome. Thanks for your time, Ryan.
Yep. Thank you.
Head coach, Mercer basketball, a true dark horse in the league, could really surprise some people. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it. All right.
Appreciate you, man.
Welcome back, SoCon Media Day 2025-26. And it's the first SoCon Media Day for the legendary Lenny Acuff, new Samford head coach. You're back home in Alabama. How's the day treating you so far?
Been good. Really impressive. They've done a great job with this. To have guys like you here is obviously validates it and makes it a really big event, and a lot of respect for what they've done. But thankful to be here. Thankful to be at Samford.
Yeah, so you're in the SoCon now, and you know the SoCon just from afar, I'm sure, but also geographically speaking.
Yep.
Being at Huntsville for all those years, and even not far.
That's right.
Over at Lipscomb.
Right.
What is it about this league? Obviously, we'll talk about Samford in a second, but just the league in general that made you want to be a part of it?
Well, it's a coach's league for sure. Really, we actually played Wofford and Chattanooga the last 2 years. We played them both home and home, and great coaches, great institutions of higher learning, like-minded, with a lot of tradition and a lot of stability. And so one of the best mid-major basketball conferences in the league for sure. And so, just that challenge, I'm excited about it. A lot of these guys are really good friends of mine, guys I respect the heck out of, but, it's going to be fun to compete at that level.
Absolutely. So being back in Alabama, Birmingham area, what does that change a lot of things for you in terms of what you're able to get done? Obviously, maybe even a little bit higher bar. Lipscomb was incredible, right?
Lipscomb was fantastic, and I could sit here all day and not say one bad word about Lipscomb.
For sure.
I loved everyone there. They were incredible to me. But there's not many times in your career you have a chance to marry a great career opportunity and a great family opportunity as well. And, my daughter lives in Birmingham. She's expecting her first grandchild. I was able to hire my son on our staff. It gets my wife closer. She's been her family 30 years. And, and Huntsville, Birmingham are all kind of interconnected, and just so many contacts with high school. A lot of the high school coaches have been friends of mine forever. Several played for me.
For sure.
We had a lot of really good players out of Birmingham when I was at Huntsville. So the familiarity's been really nice, and just being where you feel like you have a little bit more of connectivity.
No, that's great. And I think with Samford, success under Bucky Ball. I mean, I remember when he replaced Padgett, and it was like, is this going to work? Is this not going to work?
Yeah.
Well, he proved it could work, and now he's in the #1 conference. So what do you feel like the next level is for like, what's the goal for Samford long term?
Just to keep getting better. I think the thing, first off, what an incredible job he did.
He did.
What an incredible job he did. And I told him even at the press conference, I said, Bucky is Birmingham's guy. He's Homewood's guy, he's Mount Brook's guy, and he's Samford's guy. They should be very proud of what he's done. And I think that I'm probably a little more comfortable in this situation for a couple of reasons. One is, I took over after Casey Alexander. He went 2 miles down the road, had won 29 games the year before at Lipscomb and goes to Belmont. So I've kind of been where you're following somebody that's really had a great track record and somebody you respect. And I think when you do that, you don't try to be Bucky. I have no interest in being Bucky.
No,
I can't be Bucky.
Different style.
It's very different.
He's extremely unique, too.
Yeah, he is. He's an outlier, and it works.
Yeah.
And it's proven, and so much respect for what he and his staff did. Well, actually, there'll be a lot of similarities on offense. It'll be the defensive end that'll look a little different. But I think for us just to continue to have an identity of playing winning basketball, I think all this other stuff, as I shared with a couple of guys earlier today, there's a lot of ways to get to 10, whether it's 7-3, 6-4, 5-5. And every team is different. Every situation is different. So what we're looking for is what gets us to 10.
And so with Dylan Faulkner following you,
Yeah.
and obviously all the trials and tribulations he's had to go through with his health, where's he at now? I see he's on our conference team, which I don't know how they voted.
Yeah.
But like, obviously he's got a proven track record.
Well, he's proven. He's very talented. He's a fantastic young man. We're really thankful he ended up coming with us down there. And, he's healthy. He's back practicing. He got back around the 1st of September, and he's had a great fall. He has a chance to really be impactful, and we're hoping and praying he stay healthy. I mean, we thought last year when he got hurt, I thought we had a chance maybe to even win a game in the tournament because he gives us legitimate size and rim protection. And then we had 3 or 4 other guys that were coming to Lipscomb with us that came with us, as Keaton Norris, who will probably be our point guard, and Keaton's a transfer from Wright State. He had committed to us at Lipscomb. Judson Bortstad's a transfer from Union. He had committed to us. And then J.D. Gossett had signed with us at Lipscomb, and so he came. So we had a little bit of low-hanging fruit. We also got Keaton's brother, Kay, that came from Illinois State, so that was a nice addition. Nice. So we had a little bit of low-hanging fruit, but then the biggest thing I think we really were committed to, Rocco, is making sure that we stayed true to who we were. Like, I just don't think you try to bring in guys that don't fit, guys that probably aren't a great fit for what we want to do and how we want to play. And I think we've done that. We'll see. But Dylan's a big piece. We need him to stay healthy.
Right. And you've got a nice mix of bigs too, like, Will Shaver's 6'10", and Bjornstead 6'8", Harrison 6'9", Pollard 6'7". So you got a lot of positional size.
Yeah.
I'm looking at some of these other rosters in the SoCon. You might have some advantages there, at least at those positions.
Yeah, we hope so. Will Shaver's a transfer from North Carolina. He went to North Carolina High School and ended up at UAB and, had some bumps in the road. But he's had a really good 2 weeks as we've gotten started. And Caleb Harrison's really improving. And Judson and Jackson give us wings that are big with size that can shoot. And we're really thankful Zion Wilburn stayed. He's a really athletic wing. That there were 2 guys that stayed, Caleb Harrison, who I recruited out of high school, and then Zion. And so they're really high-character young men that are good fits for Sanford.
Do you think so in scheduling, like,
Yep.
we talk all summer, the analytical tools have you guys like in the 230s?
Yeah.
Do you love that?
I saw we were picked third. I had no idea.
Here it's like a different story.
Yeah, I was hopeful we would be 8th or 9th, honestly.
Well, Wofford got the gift.
Wofford, he will do a great job.
He will.
He will do a great job, and that's
Big in-
yes, he'll do a great job, and he wants to be there. And it really, and I respect our league so much, but that right there is probably the most relevant piece of paper in this room, because no one knows.
It's
no
fun
one
to look back on in 5 months.
And that's what it is. It's a great talking point, and we need that, but I have no idea. I mean, I've known Bob and Dan forever, and they're both great coaches, and they're obviously going to be really, really good, but they won't be the only 2 good teams in this league. What you have now is parity.
Yeah.
And can you keep your team staying in the fight? Can you keep showing up? And do they understand you have to play the long game? Because there's going to be bumps in the road. I think the thing those 2 teams probably have over everybody else, and VMI as well. I mean, like all the guys they have back. There comes a time, every season has a defining moment, and you can't flinch. Well, they probably know they have guys that won't flinch because they've been through it. Mm-hmm. Nobody else does. Everybody else has a lot of new guys. And, like right now, I mean, everyone that sits for you today, they're going to love their team. They got great kids. They're really excited about coaching them, excited about their upside, whatever that might be. It's been fun. We had a great preseason. No one's going to sit here and say, we're bad, I don't like our guys. It doesn't work that way. But reality hits in about a month. When you start playing games and guys don't play and things don't go the way they want it to go, that's when you really find out who has staying power.
And that will help you identify eventual rotations by the time you get to SoCon play.
Yep.
And this is one of several leagues, much like the ASUN was, where games are simply won on the margins. And whether that's, diving for loose balls, getting stops is usually something I concentrate on.
Yep.
Free throw percentage, obviously. But I also think you need a closer, like a guy. If the game's tied with the middle of the line, are you going to just let a guy dribble around and fire up a 3? Or are you going to run a set?
Well,
those are the margins, right?
We've been fortunate to win a few championships in my career. I've never won a championship without a human tourniquet.
Okay.
You've got to have a human tourniquet. You got to have somebody that can stop the bleeding.
Yep.
When you're on the road and you're like, man, we just can't score, just give him the stinking ball.
Right.
Don't outthink the room. Give him the ball. He'll score, get to the foul line. Who's that going to be? I don't know. And so it's really hard to win a championship without one of those guys. And so, but it takes time to figure that out. And, our schedule, you and I visited, and it's really difficult early, but that's okay. We'll stay in the fight. We'll keep getting better, and we will be looking forward to January and February. We want to be finding our stride, finding our identity, and hopefully by the time you get to Asheville, you're playing your best basketball.
What are you looking forward to the most about, maybe those first couple big home games and being back with, friends, family, and knowing everybody?
It'll be cool. It'll be cool. That's been really nice to see a lot of guys saying we'll start coming to the games, and they already had great support. I mean, he really had done a good job of building community support, and we've got to keep that going, and then adding to maybe the relationships I've had, and we do. We've actually got some good home games, and it's really hard to get at this level. We play South Carolina State, we play Florida Gulf Coast, and we play Cornell all at home, and those are good games for us. And so, just continuing, I think at the end of the day, just understanding the longest distance between 2 points is a shortcut, and you can't take it. You have to go through it. Yeah. There's no illusion of choice. There is no choice. We have to go through it. And so that's what we're going to do and embrace it.
Last question, because I am March Madness focused all year long. You were in it last year, and Lipscomb, one of the best mid-majors in the country.
Yeah.
Got a 13 seed, deservedly so. But then,
obviously just a whole different level trying to take down Iowa State. They got going early. Do you think what we saw in last year's tournament is going to be more of a norm going forward, and just the difference in skill? And
I sure hope not. We were kind of in a pod there with Liberty, Grand Canyon, us, Yale, and it was rough on everybody.
No matter where you went.
Yeah, but the reality, here's the thing. You'll see it. The whole thing is the draw.
Yep.
I mean, I wasn't going to tell my team this, but when I saw them come, I saw Iowa State. I'm like, oh boy, this is not good for the home team.
No.
And there was a few teams in that line that I thought I would have liked to match up better.
Right.
And that's what you got to hope you can get to, is get the right matchup. But when you get in those games, there's no secret. Make a bunch of threes, and they need to shoot it back.
Yes, and you got to get maybe some sloppy turnovers.
Oh, that you got to be lucky.
Got to get lucky.
But I do think this is a league. If you can get the right draw, there'll be a team that come out here that can be very competitive with the right draw. Now you get the wrong draw because style makes fights, but if you get the wrong style in the wrong matchup, it's really difficult. But at this level, it all comes down to 4 days in Asheville.
Right.
And can you go make magic happen at that time? And that's what we're going to try to do.
Yeah, it's a good venue, too. I think you'll really enjoy the experience.
Fantastic, great tradition, great history there, and they do it the right way.
And we have the defending NIT champions here, too. So I think for me, I love the newer NIT. We only had 5 Power 5s in the draw. But, that was a good sign for the league, too.
Oh, Dan did an incredible job. Yeah. We played them last year. And, Dan Gavitt, who's a dear friend of mine, called me, and he said, we won the league. And he said, would you guys come to the NIT if you don't win the tournament? Because we'd won the regular season. I'm like, we'd be there in the morning. I mean, heck yeah, we'll be there. That's what we want to play. And it's a great tournament, and really proud and happy for Dan, what he did.
Cool. Well, good luck this year, Lenny.
Thanks.
Welcome to Sanford.
Yeah, glad to be here.
It's been
thanks for all you do.
with you.
My pleasure. Thanks, Rocco.
Okay. We'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Welcome back to SoCon Media Day, and I am gladly joined here by Coach Jones of UNC Greensboro. Coach, how have you been? Well, first of all, we got a lot to catch up on.
Yeah.
Because last year you had a heck of a year, 13-5, second place. You guys really surprised and impressed, which I feel like is a common theme.
I don't know, maybe.
But what's the offseason been like? Obviously, you lost a lot of guys.
Yeah.
New faces.
Yeah, lost a lot. Thanks for having me. First of all, yeah, it's exciting that we're doing this. This means that the season's right around the corner, so really fired up about that. But we had a very busy off season for the first time ever, and me as a head coach, we've had to replace so many guys. So we had to replace 11 of our 13 scholarship guys. That was a monster. And we, typically in years past, you get a little break in May, you get a little break in August. This year we recruited literally until the first day of school. We got our last 2 players on the first and second day of school in the fall semester. So it's been nuts.
That was nuts.
Yeah, and it's not healthy, because you don't get a chance as a head coach to kind of break away and refresh and, re-envision this next season because you don't know who your team is. At least for me, I need to know who my team is going to be so I can kind of put the pieces together and make a plan for the season. We weren't able to do that, but now we're doing it, but it's all like a run-on sentence from last season. So even though we got a lot of new guys, but it's the way college basketball is now, and you got to figure it out.
So what's the process there? I think you've gone through it a couple times now, if I remember right, from last offseason, maybe a little bit before.
Yeah.
Does it feel like you're coaching in G League?
Yeah, it definitely feels like I'm talking to more of my NBA people. Like, how do you do this?
Yeah.
But 2 years ago, we lost the twins, the Langley twins, and Mikael Brown-Jones. They were 3 of the best players in the league.
Yep.
And so we had to replace them, and I think that was just a precursor to this year where we had to replace 11. Not only the 3 best, but also the other supporting guys. And so my staff, I got to give them a lot of credit. Brian Stipp, Randy Phillips, Brett Gilbert, C.J. Lee, those guys, and Josh Gross, those guys did an unbelievable job piecing together enough talent that we feel like going into this year, we can at least have the talent to match up. Now, we as coaches have to put them together, and that's kind of our job, and that's the fun piece, but it's hard.
So how do you do it every year? Because, last year you were the only team to be both top 3 in O and top 3 in D in conference games.
Yeah.
And that's hard balance to strike. It takes a lot of discipline. And what's the process like in practice? What's the process I guess on both sides of the ball.
Yeah. So it's we start off with basically, hey guys, this is our defensive identity. This is our offensive identity. We want you to understand that this is how we want to play on both sides of the ball. And we've been fortunate, man. We got really good guys. We got good people. And that's where it starts for me. You got to have character. You have to have character on your coaching staff in order to recruit character players. And so we've got both. And so if you get good guys, now you can appeal to them. Hey, this is what you need to be able to do. They're okay with that. They want to do the right thing. They want to be good players. They want to get in the gym. So that's where it starts. And then they're willing to listen to the coaching. They're willing to accept the coaching. Here's how we want to play on both sides of the ball. And so that's how our process starts. And then it's just every day, just really getting after it and demanding and holding guys accountable to what your standards are.
I think because of those principles, might be one of some of the higher levels. Find your players to be so attractive.
And they don't want to play us. They want to take our players, but they don't want to play us.
You got to build something in to where they got to come back to the gym.
Yeah, that would be a great part of it. That's what they do,
or just write a check.
Yeah,
like a game check.
Absolutely, yeah. So like at VCU, for instance, when Anthony Grant would leave, then where he went, they had to come back and play the game. That would be
they've done it. Penn State is paid $250.
Yeah, they want to play.
But anyway, it's a good example either way.
Yeah, so that would be good if we lose a player to Texas Tech. If they want to come back and now play us, that would be awesome.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah. See if you can make that happen.
I'll see what I can do. I know a couple people there.
Yeah.
They don't like to listen to me when I have good programs in front of them.
Sure.
They're usually looking for that 355.
Sure. Yeah, that's the way it's changed.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked a little bit before we got on about the Jacksonville Classic.
Yeah.
I had a hand in the other 9 teams.
Yeah.
So you're welcome. But we're looking forward to it. I'll be on the call. We'll get to know each other even better down there.
Good.
But I think what we've built there is really unique because at the highest level, for better or worse, this Players Era Festival took over the MTV scene. Yeah. Obviously, it's really been achieving some of our most prestigious events, Battlefield Analyst, Maui Invitational, etc. But with the future of scheduling going to 32 games next year, you could play the 32 however you want, but the calendar staying the same.
Right.
I think what we've done here in Jacksonville will be the future.
Yeah.
Just reserving a spot 4 to 5 days, and you can come down and play 2, 3. You guys got to play 3.
Yeah.
You can play 1.
Yeah.
In the future, it won't be any rules anymore. But in general, how do you like that format? At least you'll go down there with your 3 scouting reports.
Right.
No bracket.
Right.
Kind of like that going forward?
Yeah, it's like guys will love it because it's more games and less practice. They don't want practice. So we'll be able to play 3 games, back to back. Basically, I think there's 1 day in between, but basically back to back to back. And so now you're seeing how guys perform from 1 day to the next, how guys prepare from 1 day to the next, how your team performs, which is indicative of the tournament. And it just helps you kind of have at least they've seen that format to some extent before. Right. It's not the tournament format where you got to win in order to play this next team, but you're still playing games in that short amount of time and finding the internal fortitude to compete at a high level, even though you just played 24 hours ago or less.
And I've always been a big believer.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, there's a few teams, I won't name names, that are dunking MTEs.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me because I just think having that experience together and even just a chance to bond.
Right.
For almost a week like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you go a long way, right?
That bonding part is really important to us because we're just so new to each other.
Yeah.
And to be, in a really nice place, warm weather, maybe guys hang out at the beach on the off day a little bit and just, get to, be family. And that's important. That carries over to the court when you play.
Especially with like 3.5 months to go.
Right.
Got to get that foundation in place.
No question.
So who's standing out so far as your leaders?
Yeah. So one of them is here today, or 2 of them are here today. Justin Neely and Big Damas Kausinis. He's been with us 2 years, so he kind of knows what we do, and he's really committed to what we're doing. Justin Neely is coming in from Albany, having been an all-conference level player for a couple of years there. He brings a level of maturity. He's a different dude, but he's not afraid to say what needs to be said. And so that's been really good for us. We've probably had better leadership this year than we've had in the last 3 or 4 years, just from a vocal standpoint. We've always had guys that lead by example, but now we have guys that not only do what we ask, but they're also vocal about insisting that their teammates do it. And so, that can be powerful on a team. So those guys have stood out so far. Valentino Pineda, he came from St. Francis of Pennsylvania, played in the NCAA tournament last year. He is really just one of the best glue guys I've ever seen. Like, he does whatever needs to be done to help you win, and so I love him. And what he has been able to do so far to, he's a great teammate. And so the guys listen to him because he cares about them. That's really important, especially in this portal era. And then Donald Whitehead, who came from a Division II program that was really good and really successful and really well coached. Now, it's almost like he played for me. He's older. He's a grad guy. And so he knows how to defend. He knows what goes into being a good defensive player, a good offensive player, an unselfish player, a good teammate. So those guys, we've depended on them because we do have a larger group of freshmen than we've ever had, and some of them are going to be counted on to play. So that older leadership piece with those veterans is going to help our team overall.
Yeah, you have 6 freshmen.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Is there anyone that you could call out? Is like definitely going to be in the rotation yet?
Yeah, I've had a talk with one of the young men to kind of humble him a little bit, even though he's going to, probably be able to play a lot for us and be productive. It's just hard as a freshman to be good enough to do that and to be humble enough to not piss his teammates off. So we're work in progress right now, but we're, like I said, we got good guys, and so yeah, you gotta teach them. You gotta teach them.
Antoine Jones really back for his 8th year.
How about it, man? Hey, he's gonna be one of the great stories. He's gonna be one of the great stories, man.
That's cool.
His faith is so strong, and which has really helped him get through all of this stuff.
Right.
He's a wonderful person. Great mom. Like he's got all the good stuff. He's got the stuff that makes you want to root for him. And so we took a chance. He also took a chance on us, but we took a real chance on him. And we don't know right now if it's going to work out. He's got to do his part. He's got to get healthy. That's first, because he was injured last year. That's why he got this extra year back. And he's got other things that he's got to do to make this happen, but his heart's in the right place. He's been good so far, so hopefully it works out for him, man. I'm rooting for this kid, this young man. He's not a kid.
Oh, he's definitely not a kid.
I told him he cannot talk to any under 18 students at nobody.
Stay in your lane.
Stay with the adults here, man. Right. But nah, it's
to dinner with the staff.
That's right. He's a great young man now.
No, that's good. I hope it works out and can get that on the board. Last question for you. Motivation. We've had this happen before. And again, I think people are throwing darts this year on the all-conference tennis players.
Sure.
But nobody from the G after a 13-5 season.
Yeah.
I also, since I'm so heavily involved in scheduling, I know you were like buried in the 200 somewhere.
Yeah.
Is this a good thing or bulletin board? How do you feel that fire? Or is it just whatever?
I've been fortunate to be on both sides of the equation. I've been the preseason favorite, and I've been the team that's picked 7th and won the league. So for me, it's not important. I'm motivated by the guys I get to coach and about this opportunity to be the head coach of UNCG. I want my players to be motivated by all kinds of different things. This is external motivation. I want them to be internally motivated, where it doesn't matter what the situation is, where we play, who we play. I'm ready to give my best. But certainly that's some bulletin board material for somebody. And you hope that guys, use whatever they need to use. Michael Jordan used to, get himself amped up for every practice, every game. and some of it was true and some of it was made up. And so if our guys need to use this to motivate themselves, that's great. But in the end, it doesn't matter. You know, we've got the end of the season polls are certainly more important, but you know, the individual goals are important to those guys. But if the team wins, then everybody will be recognized, and that's our goal. Yeah.
He's Mike Jones, head coach, USC Greensboro. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Look forward to seeing you in Jacksonville.
All right, thanks.
Welcome back to SoCon Media Day, and I am joined by the preseason player of the year, as announced, I think about 55 minutes ago, Ricky Bradley Jr. Ricky, how you feeling?
I feel blessed to be here. This is my first time ever coming to a media day, and then to get the big news. I got it probably about 30 minutes ago. Pretty exciting, just for the organization itself and for me individually, the hard work I've been putting in, coming into fruition.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I'm going out on a little bit of a limb, certainly probably in my lifetime. When I was born in the 80s. But, like, I'm pretty sure you're the first preseason player of the year from VMI in this conference. The SID can check me if I'm wrong. But what does that mean, like, to you?
It's an honor.
Yeah.
SoCon's a really good conference, and the VMI has had a lot of good players. Only a few that have touched the NBA, which is my ultimate goal. And just to be get that recognition for what I did last year, but to know that the expectation is a lot higher now. And I look at expectation as a privilege, so it's a privilege to be expected to do big things.
I love that. So what was the initial, I guess, March, April period like? Because, you know, I'm involved nationally at all the different levels, and I'm sure you had a lot of interest, let's just say.
Yeah.
What was the foundation and the overall reason that you wanted to finish this out at VMI?
For me, the March, April, I knew I wanted to stay.
Yeah.
Everything was just kind of laid out too perfectly. I really like the coaching staff. They all have a fire under them to where like they're obsessed with success. And then the locker room we created and the culture we created was something that I wanted to continue to push. So there were definitely a lot of agents that reached out to me trying to tell me to enter the portal, get all this money. But ultimately, I mean, I have 1 year left, so why not double back on what I had as a decent year, and then continue to work on my things and know that I'll have the platform to do so.
That's amazing. So in professional basketball, obviously that's the long-term goal or near-term goal. Do you know what you want to do maybe after basketball, or I mean, obviously you're a good enough player and there's so many opportunities now, international. Are you willing to kind of go anywhere and play if NBA is not available?
Yes, sir.
Immediately?
I'm wherever God takes me, wherever he designs my path to be, that's where I'm going to be able to be 2 feet in. But I do want to play in the league, just so I can give kids from VMI and from the little Milwaukee just that like encouragement that you can do it too if you just stay focused.
No, it's amazing. And so when you're in the you talked about the locker room culture just a little bit ago. What's and all these games, in my opinion, especially in a league like this, are run on what's called the margins, like loose balls, defense, stops, free throw percentage, shot selection.
Yeah.
Is there one or two of those areas that you guys are always harping on in the huddle, in the locker room, just amongst teammates?
Yeah, for us, it's always energy.
Mm-hmm.
Your energy is contagious, whether that be negative or positive. And so the biggest thing for us last year was just making sure that we had the right energy, because energy would translate. Like talent can only get you so far, but the energy that you have day in and day out will take you far. And then with us, we focus on a lot of the details, whether that's being down ready to shoot or I know what the next play is, the next pass is. I'm moving on to the next play. I'm not dwelling in the past. A lot of the little details are what we focused on.
Terrific. That was Ricky Bradley, and we're going to bring in Coach Andrew Wilson. Thank you, sir. Congratulations.
Sir.
All right, Coach Wilson's here now with the VMI Keydets. How we doing today, sir?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We're still rolling from Mr. Bradley.
Okay.
So what's it like? I have so many questions for you, but what's it like to be coming back after
The only other great year of progress in the last decade, I think, was that last year of Dan Earl. VMI made that tremendous jump. Now you take this team to the semifinals last year, got real dangerous with it, two wins away. Well, first of all, you must have had some calls, and I guess part of that question is, what made you decide to stay, and how did you convince Mr. Bradley to come back? Kind of all those in an opening question for you.
Yeah. We have a group right now that's unbelievably committed to each other. And I kind of set out after year 2 when we went 4-28. We won 4 games. We were one of the worst teams in the country. And my coaching staff and I had to kind of take a step back. And our number one goal was to bring in kids who are willing to grow old together, who are willing to sacrifice for each other. And we had to bring in fit over everything. And my coaching staff did an unbelievable job of identifying guys during that process of kids who wanted to change the narrative of VMI basketball. And we've been really fortunate that 3 of our best players, Ricky Bradley, TJ Johnson, and AJ Clark, not only are they our team captains, they're 3 of our best players that we have. And when you have the top of your roster that's very committed to wanting to change a basketball program, then great things can happen. And I think that's what you saw last year. It was the biggest turnaround in VMI basketball history. We had an improvement of 11 wins last year.
Big time.
And so it was a lot of fun. Honestly, it was the most fun I've ever had coaching a group last year. And, you look forward to this year, and we have 9 of our 10 leading scorers coming back. We have the second most production in the entire country, only behind Purdue. And we have the only returning all-conference player in the Southern Conference. Of the other 14 all-conference players, they transferred out or graduated last year. So we're very fortunate to be in the position we're in right now. But the reason that I decided to come back was because of the group of kids that we had coming back and that were committed to each other.
That's phenomenal. Now, when you say fit, right? You said it had to start with a fit. You were starting from the bottom and building it from basically scratch.
Yeah.
That can mean a lot of things. Is it characteristics? Is it personalities? Is it, you probably only have access to a limited amount of talent. And then obviously you have the military component, but there's also system fits too.
Yeah.
So maybe elaborate a little bit there.
Yeah, we believe that VMI is the most unique fit in the entire country. And
I can back you up on that.
Yeah, that's for a lot of different reasons. We have a very limited window of opportunity with kids that we can recruit. We can only recruit guys that have at least 3 years of eligibility. So right away in the transfer portal, that narrows our opportunity a lot. So we're looking to recruit high school kids or kids in the portal that have at least 3 years of eligibility. In a lot of ways, that can be a positive because it just narrows our focus right away. But the off-the-court fit at VMI is so important because our kids are challenged in a way that kids don't get challenged at a traditional college or university. And if you're not a good fit at VMI, if you don't check off one of the 2 boxes of at least having a great appreciation for the military and the people that go to fight for our country, or you don't value a high-level degree because you're going to be challenged at VMI academically. If you don't check off one of those boxes, VMI is probably not a good place for you. And my first couple of years, we recruited kids who were great kids, but maybe weren't a great fit at VMI. And so it was difficult to retain those guys. So we kind of hit a home run in this last recruiting cycle with last year's team. The kids that came in, they were good fits at VMI. They wanted to be there. They want to enjoy the benefits of VMI for a lifetime, which is the alumni network, earning that degree and everything that comes from being at VMI. And so we're very fortunate to be in the position that we're in right now.
I feel like all the great VMI games I've watched over the years, it's like the cadets are in there. It's rowdy. I know you have a few special Saturdays a year for that. But is there a growing, everyday fan base from the community building? Can you sense that?
There is. There's a lot of excitement around our program right now.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, every Saturday home game at VMI is considered a core game.
Yeah.
So every student at VMI is required to be at our Saturday home games.
Very cool.
We feel like we have the best environment in the entire league, and teams don't
usually like to come into Cameron Hall on a Saturday afternoon. So we're very fortunate to have the setup that we do with that. And, and we try to provide a really challenging environment for opponents to come in and play.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The results show that, certainly recently. You were with Coach Cremens for 6 years, I believe, at College of Charleston.
6 years.
I grew up, I was born in the 80s, so I grew up loving the Georgia Tech teams. So he's always one of my favorite coaches, and ran into him a few times over the years. What part, and I've heard you talk about him on other interviews, what part of the Coach Cremens program still lies today in the way you prepare, the way you practice as a team, or maybe just how you lead?
Yeah, there's first of all, when you talk about Coach Cremens, he's one of the best human beings on this planet. And I grew up in Atlanta. I grew up about 20 minutes from Georgia Tech's campus. So I grew up idolizing Coach Cremens. For about a 15-year period there, he was the most recognizable sports figure in the entire city of Atlanta. Went to a Final Four, had 25-plus NBA players, guys who went on to have great NBA careers. And so he actually recruited me out of high school, so I got to develop a relationship with him. And I just got really fortunate when I was done playing at Florida State. He really didn't have the money to go out and hire who he really wanted to go hire. And so the job just kind of fell to me. And I'm thankful every day. I miss being around him every day. He brings an enjoyment to this job and this profession. He doesn't take himself too seriously. And so many of us do in this profession. And at the end of the day, we're coaching basketball. Like, we're not changing the world here. And so I miss Coach Cremens every day. There's a large part of him that I try to instill into our guys every day. And he just teaches so much about life. And I try to be that type of coach and teacher and mentor to our guys as well.
That must help tremendously during kind of the tough times, or maybe a couple L's in a row. You just got to remember that stuff, right?
I had many late night phone calls with Coach Cremens.
I can imagine.
When I was kind of going through my first couple of years.
Yeah.
We only won 11 games total my first 2 years of VMI. So I had some dark moments.
For sure.
To be able to get on the phone with Coach Cremens and just to take in the wisdom that he has. He's been through a lot, and he's seen a lot. And so I'm forever grateful to Coach Cremens.
Well, you've done tremendous work, because what you've been able to do is certainly historically the exception, not the rule. And I'm really impressed. I mean, this will be one of the best stories, I think, throughout the year. Regardless of your record, we know you're giving these other 9 teams a fight every night. That's only one chapter of the season. I'm also excited to see how you guys perform non-conference, especially with all your continuity. Probably playing mostly brand new portal teams, might have an edge in some of those games.
Yeah, we one thing that's going to be interesting for our team this year compared to last year. Last year we were fighting to earn our respect. And I don't think anybody really expected us to win any games last year. And this year, we're going to have to learn how to deal with expectations. And perfect example today, Ricky Bradley being named preseason player of the year.
Here we go.
Which is awesome recognition for him and very well deserved.
I think it's historic. I don't know if that's happened before.
It is. And it's great recognition for VMI, for our institute and our athletic department. So I'm really excited for Rick. At the same time, it's like rat poison.
Yeah.
Right. And you have to stay committed to the process, committed to what enabled us to be able to have a certain level of success last season. And we feel like with the returning players that we have a chance to exceed what we did last season. And but that's not going to be easy. And we have people's attention this year. So it's going to be even more difficult this year than it was last year.
Well, best of luck out there, Coach. And if it can continue to build, I'm sure I'll be seeing you again this year, because I tend to be at all the first games for first place. So hopefully we reconnect before the Final Four this time, and congrats on the success thus far.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
All right, welcome back to SoCon Media Day. I am joined by Tim Kraft of the Western Carolina Catamounts. And Tim, you've had a career that I followed closely, loved what you did at Gardner-Webb. And at Western, you took over last year. We had to start completely from the ground up. Do you just love rebuilding projects?
Hey,
how are you doing, by the way?
Hey, doing great, man. Thank you, and doing really well. Appreciate the kind words from what we did at Gardner-Webb. I was just looking for a change. I'd been there for 11 years, loved it, loved the people, You just sometimes you need a change to kind of re-energize you and that type of thing. And it was a rebuild in some ways, not because they weren't doing well. Like Justin Gray had done a great job kind of every year getting better, had a great team the year prior to me getting there.
Yeah.
And people were fired, they're fired up about basketball in Cullowhee. And but it was a rebuild in terms of the roster, like all those good players from that team, Vontarius Woolbright, Russ Jones, and Trey Jackson, man, they were all graduated. So, we had to bring in a whole new group. And, we weren't in a great spot for the NIL deal, getting in there. And that's just what it was. So, we worked like crazy to bring in some high character guys, but they weren't experienced. They hadn't played a lot in Division I basketball. We had one guy on the roster that had any Division I starts, and he had only had two. He had two Division I starts for the whole roster. So, it was tough, but we got a lot better, and those young guys got better. We were able to bring a lot of them back. And so now we got 8 players returning, and we've got 8 different guys that have started games in Division I, and like over 200 career combined starts. So we got a lot more experience. So we're excited about that.
No, that's awesome. And I see some upgrades. Like I'm pretty intrigued just off the there's a whole roster that we can go over.
Sure.
But I'm intrigued by the 7-footer combo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he could be a real.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got to. It's a little bit of a project for you as a coach, but and a staff. But do you see him as somebody who could really contribute right away?
For sure. What we. Yeah. The thing that we needed to get better at, with the guys we brought back and evaluating that, the areas we needed to improve. One of them was defensively, and we needed to get better there. And so, for each kind of piece of the puzzle, we were trying to add a defensive guy that can help us on that end. And that's who Kaba is. He's not a guy that's going to probably average 15 points a game. But he is a really impactful defender at our level. I mean, he can move and block shots and rebound, and he's physical, has a good feel for the defensive side of the ball. And started 15 games there at Denver, and he led the league in block percentage. So so that was a big upgrade to our roster in terms of added size, depth, physicality inside that we really, really needed.
And Justin Johnson, I've always been impressed with his physique.
Yeah.
Just being a monster wing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just kind of visualize him, man.
Yeah.
Some of these dudes together.
Yeah.
You could throw some combos out there that, I mean, I've looked at every roster, and it's just like, it might be a needle mover if you can make it.
Yeah.
Work on the big level.
Yeah. I mean, I think Justin is a guy that he's inexperienced, but he comes from a program that won a lot last year at Arkansas State, was a really highly regarded high school player. Putnam Science is a program where we had about 6 dudes from there at Gardner-Webb, and they were all but maybe one was all-league player or all-league players for us. So, he's really, really talented, long, athletic. Gotta learn college basketball and just in terms of the discipline and he's learning a new system. That takes time for everybody, but he's got a huge ceiling, and we're expecting him to impact the team for sure.
That's fantastic. So who would you say so far in practice is exuberating the leadership?
Leadership. Yeah. I think a lot of our returners have shown that, just in terms of them coming to practice with the right mentality. Cord, Kell, CJ, Vern Collins, Chase McKee, Fisher Brown, all those guys that played for us last year. Julian Samaro played for us at Gardner-Webb for 3 years. He was at East Carolina last year. He's a grad transfer for us. So he was a double-figure scorer for us at Gardner-Webb. So he's also kind of another returner. He's also kind of a dynamic, vocal competitor. So he brings a lot to the table there as well. So you got a good group with those older guys, and 6 guys on the roster. They're going to graduate this year, so our experience is just completely different from what it was a year ago.
It seems to me like a lot of the personnel issues from the year ago have been addressed.
For sure. Yeah.
But
yeah.
And that's what I'm curious about, because I love your track record.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
It's like taking this improvement in personnel and getting back to what you did at G-Web.
Yeah.
Or are you mixing with some new stuff?
Yeah. I mean, we kind of always change a little bit from year to year, really. But a lot of the core things that we feel like led to us having success at Gardner-Webb, which are an identity of playing really hard, being prepared, being tough and physical on the defensive end. Where last year everybody was in year one of kind of the defensive system, and so I think we're going to be much improved there. And then from an offensive standpoint, it's ball movement, it's pace of play, and trying to really create great shots together. Everybody out there on the floor, kind of working together to create good shots is really how we play. And so, we just got a lot more guys that are used to that style. So hopefully that will lead to some really good results this year.
No, that's exciting. I mean, I just feel like the league this year, maybe you see it different. You don't have to really focus on it until the end of the season.
Yeah.
But I
right.
think the league this year, there's just so many unknowns, and
for sure, yeah.
The margins are slim. And I'm just, observing all the leagues, most of them are. Like, it always comes down to these margins, whether it's offensive rebounding, free throw shooting, having a dog at the end of the game that close out a win, drawing something up that is actually productive with 10 seconds to go for teams that hoist a bad shot from an NBA range. So what are maybe the things that you really have to do to win on the margins?
Yeah, man, that's a great point. Like it just kind of reminds you that we're 6 or 7 practices in, but we got to be ready for all that stuff here pretty quick. I think that I think what you said about the league, and I haven't studied everybody's roster, but I at least feel good about the fact that a lot of the teams did lose a lot of guys. That it's Ricky Bradley is the one guy back, from the all league team, really. So there's a lot of new rosters out there. We do probably bring back at least more than most, and so I love that experience. But for us, I think in the month of February last year, we kind of got to a place where we were playing a lot better and we could compete with a lot of the really most all the teams in the league. It was getting down to the last 2 or 3 minutes, but we weren't experienced enough, ready to win those games. So, we got to be better late in the game. We've got to, experience will be part of that. But also I got to do a better job. Our staff has to do a better job kind of preparing our teams for just the details, right? It's an offensive rebound here or there. It's maybe a 2-for-1 at the end of the half. It's again, being able to create extra possessions and then being good kind of in those last 2 minutes on both ends. So, we got to do a good job kind of preparing our team for that. And we got to start working on that, next week. Yeah. So I'm into game stuff, but for sure.
It's exciting. Ideally, you're going to be in that situation.
Yes. Right. More.
Quicker.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. We plan to be in those situations more and then, have some confidence to for good results in those moments. So
yeah, I've heard some of the things you've said in the last year about living in Coolowee and you're loving it.
Yeah.
I'd love to get out there sometime soon. And I had the luxury of being at Vanderbilt the year before you got there when Von Terry's Woolbright.
Okay. Yeah.
And I ran into Justin Gray about 5 seconds after the game.
Okay. Yeah.
And there was a bunch of WCU fans there. The first thing he said is, "I need to shot at tequila."
Yeah.
I just think these guys are ready to jump on board.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. It's a great community. Yeah, it's a great community, and it's just great people, and they love Western. Like last year, I mean, obviously the difference between, the the team that Justin had and our team in terms of the results was, but still throughout the deal, those people are like, man, you guys are getting better, excited to see the growth and, stuff like that. So you really appreciate that. Yeah.
Really positive too.
For sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, best of luck this year, Coach.
All right.
Awesome to see you again.
Yeah. Thanks, Rocco. Appreciate it, man.
Western Carolina.
Welcome back to SoCon Media Day, and here we are joined by Kevin Giltner, one of the newest head coaches, if not the newest head coach in all of Division I basketball.
Wow.
But also the head coach of a very proud program, a program that you represented so well, the Wofford Terriers.
Thank you.
Coach, how are you today?
I'm awesome. I'm still on cloud nine, 1 week into this thing, and thankful to be here.
Yeah, so can you walk us through, I mean, I'm sure you're getting asked this all the time, so maybe give us a different version. What, maybe the day or two before, because obviously the conversations had to start at some point.
Sure.
And maybe, whatever you're willing to share just for the audience, what kind of emotions it was like, just knowing that, probably with the previous staff, or at least the two guys that aren't there, you probably wanted to support them, but at the same time, you have this tremendous opportunity. Can you just walk through your emotions?
Yeah, I think initially your first thought is, man, this is a little awkward because I love Dwight and Ty. Those guys are awesome people, and I know them, and they're the best. But also it's an opportunity for me to come home. My wife's from Spartanburg. Like, I lived in Spartanburg for 10 years, 4 as a player, 6 as a coach. I love this league. I love that school. No-brainer situation. I said, I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in. Like, no hesitation. I'm in. I'll walk there. That's how much I love this place. And so thankful that it ended up working out. But, yeah, crazy range of emotions, right? Leaving Mike Young, who is like a father to me.
Right.
Who I've been with for 16 years. We're going to our 17th season now. We had a really good roster and things going into this year, and then all of a sudden, boom, it was wild. But also I'm very thankful. Like, I'm driving around Spartanburg and I'm reconnecting with all the people that I love, and I just feel really supported, and they've wrapped their arms around me and my wife and our situation, and just grateful, man. My whole emotion has just been grateful. I'm glad to be here regardless of the timing.
Yeah.
Regardless of the timing, I love this place, and I'm in.
Well, clearly it's a dream opportunity,
Dream.
as you're alluding to. Did you have any? I mean, obviously you can't have any reservations. You're getting your D1 opportunity now at the place you really want to be at.
Man.
But just based on, I think the question most people have is like, just based on how things went down, just right here suddenly, and all the different things out there. Was there any apprehension because of that? Is there still some alignment you need, or are they basically just like, hey, everybody gets a fresh start?
Yeah, no hesitations. I have full confidence in the leadership at Wofford. I have full confidence in the players and the staff.
Yeah.
No hesitation, like zero.
Yeah.
And I know that place. I know the people there. I know the professors. I know a lot of the alumni. I mean, it's home. So zero hesitations. I love this place, and I truly mean that. That's not coach speak. That's not recruit talk. That is, I mean, you guys saw emotion in my press conference. I felt like I had a golf ball or softball really in my throat. Like, I couldn't even speak. I was so happy and so emotional about it. And I've had a lot of those emotions over the last 8 to 10 days where, like, wow, I can't believe this is real. I can't believe this is happening. So it's a pinch me moment for sure. So zero hesitations. I'm in. I said I'll walk to Spartanburg. So
I love it.
Yeah, I'm in.
I was impressed too, like, given the circumstances. And I know sometimes, like, through the rising coaches and these different organizations, assistant coaches will practice an opening day press conference.
Yeah.
Had you practiced one in a while?
No.
Now you're here. You're talking to everybody.
It's great. Listen, I've been mentored by Mike Young in basketball, but also in life.
Right.
The way he treats people, the way he communicates, the way he's always been so even keel, and I've watched him for 16 years and learned a lot more than just basketball. But then I get to come back home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where I can talk to anybody about everything comfortably because it is home. So there's a sense of comfort, which helps, those opportunities, whether it be the presser or whether it be interviews with people who I've known for 20 years, right? So, like, it's easy to communicate whenever you feel comfortable.
No, that's great. So Kevin McGeehan.
Yeah.
Just at Campbell for several years. Very experienced coach, very experienced head coach.
Yes.
I love the hire personally.
Thank you.
Because, I mean, basically, your first go at this thing, and you got players you didn't recruit. So what's Kevin's day one responsibility, or what was it when he...
Man, help me with my blind spots. Like, we are literally, like, I've talked to my staff. and we've all kind of came to the conclusion we have to prioritize.
Yeah.
There's 97,000 things to do when you get a head coaching job, much less in September. So there's all these things to do and all that. Prioritize relationships and basketball. Relationships and basketball. I don't care where I live. I haven't even done my HR paperwork. I haven't set my.
I hope you
office
get our
up.
first check.
I don't know. I really I'm literally prioritizing. Get to know these kids in a deep fashion, but also in a real way, in a genuine way, and focus on basketball. These kids deserve that. This year matters. No one feels sorry for us. So in hiring Kevin, who's been a head coach for a long time and has forgot more about basketball than maybe I'll ever know, help me with my blind spots, help me with basketball, make sure we're staying on task with defensive, offensive installs and special teams, and make sure that we're on target, but also don't let me skip steps. We all feel this inherent rush, right? Everybody does. Even Bob Richard, who's been here forever. We just feel this rush. The season's here. We got to get stuff to do. Don't let me skip steps. I don't care if we're maybe slightly behind at the beginning. I don't want to skip steps. I want to be good I want to continue to get better as we go. And if you skip steps, it's really hard to come back and forth. So keep me on track, Kevin, but also make sure that we're focusing on the right things and prioritizing and spending as much time with these players as possible. I can't coach people that don't know me and vice versa.
Right.
It just doesn't work.
Do you guys have a long relationship together, you and Kevin?
We've known each other for a while.
Yeah.
But it's definitely deepened in the last 7 to 10 days for sure. And I've made a lot of calls on him, and I'm sure he's made a lot of calls on me. But so thankful that he's here, and our whole staff is awesome. Jeremiah has been a head coach, very successful. Drew Gibson, I've known since 2007. He was my host on my visit to Wofford.
That's right.
That's family. We played against each other in Iceland. We coached together at Wofford for 3 years, won championships together. That's family. Trent's been awesome. Andrew Muse, I've known him and his family forever. I helped him actually get the job at Wofford a little bit in some small way. I didn't know our strength coach, but he's been great. So getting to know the new guys, but also deepening the relationship with people I already knew. So it's been a dream come true, and everybody's been all in, and I'm just so thankful that I get to focus on basketball and not any other stuff.
So with that said, you don't have much time to celebrate besides these little moments with us.
Yeah.
But after this, it's you got a tight 5-week window to get ready. There's probably more than one, but what's the number one thing keeping you up at night right now about this particular team? And I guess maybe a couple comments, I'm sure you've already commented on it, on just building relationships with these guys that, you're just inheriting, but at the same time, you want to make sure that they feel like they have their place there. And you really can't have 1 foot in, 1 foot out at any point during the journey, right?
Right. No, you can't. And they've been great about being 2 feet in. I think they've just kind of said, all right, let's blindly follow this and see where it goes. Let's trust them until we can't trust them, type of deal. And I take that to heart, and I'm thankful for that. So, what keeps me up at night is just making sure we're on pace. And what keeps me up at night is making sure that we don't skip steps and making sure we have a real relationship with these guys and not just focus on X's and O's. That stuff can only take you so far. So, how do we continue to build the culture? Everybody says culture, but the Wofford way is what I like to call it. And how do we continue to make sure that is really what's important? Not, hey, what's our about ball screen defense, or what are we running out of bounds under? No, this is how we do things. This is how we treat people. This is what's acceptable and not acceptable. But also making sure I meet them halfway on a lot of stuff too. I can't come in here and blow this whole thing up and say, we're doing this now. That would actually set us back. We've got really good coaches on our staff, and they've done some things already prior to me even getting there.
Right.
And I love it. So let's keep it rolling. But let's make sure
offensive and defense
strategy. Yeah, anything, whatever it may be. But let's keep going, because I'm going to trust them. I'm going to let them have a huge voice. I want to empower them, because that's what Coach Young was with me. Yeah. And I appreciated that, number one. But number two, they're really good. And I agree with a lot of it. So it's been pretty seamless as far as that stuff's concerned.
Love it.
Yeah.
So I would say, my last question, I guess, is Coach Young's influence. I have so many thoughts about that. But when you showed up, did you basically just bring a copy of your Virginia Tech practice plan?
No, I mean, kinda. Yeah.
Use kind of a blueprint. Are you trying to implement a system similar to his, or are you looking at kind of the strengths and weaknesses of these guys and molding something completely new?
And I think that's one of Coach's strengths, to be honest, is he's had different rosters. Even when I played, my job was get Noah Dahlman the ball, who was a great center.
Unbelievable.
And then, we've had guys like Fletcher McGee who were like really good. Carl Cochran, even at Wofford or at Virginia Tech, the Hunter Coutures of the world, like all the and then we had Keve Aloma, who was a good push player. My point is, we've had many different types of rosters in our time together. Just 16 with us two, but he's been a head coach for a lot longer than that. So his strength is like conforming to what the roster needs. But the practice plans and how we do things, absolutely. It's what I know. It's the only thing I know. I've been with one head coach for 16 years. You better believe that's going to have a huge influence. But also, like I said, the thing I loved about Coach was he let new assistants who would come in and, people just inherently have staff changes. He would let those guys have a voice. And, hey, I love this drill, what we did at X, Y, and Z. Ooh, I like that. Let's do it. So Jeremiah and Coach McGee and even Drew and Trent and Andrew Moose, they all got ideas. For me, the best idea wins. I don't care if it's our manager. I don't care if it's a player.
For sure.
I don't care if it's the head coach. I don't care if it's Drew. The best idea wins when we're talking strategy. And so I'm going to give those guys a voice and let them say, hey, I love this drill that you've been doing for 16 years, but maybe what if we tweaked it? Great, let's try it. So yes, it's if you come in and just watch this practice 2 or 3 times, you'd see a lot of Mike Young's influence for sure, which I'm super proud of. But also, we've got other good coaches on staff that have a really good, smart basketball mind. Let's use that too.
Yeah, last thought on that is, let's say you're down 1 early in the season, so you haven't been through the situation yet.
Yeah.
Down 1, under a minute to go. You got to drop your best play. Would you have maybe Kevin have that discussion or another staff member?
TBD. Yeah, we're still listening. Yeah, TBD.
If somebody blows it, they're out for the next game.
Yeah. No, I think that's circumstantial.
Okay. I'm always curious about that stuff.
Yeah. No, I mean, Coach has let me do that as an assistant. He said, no, I'm doing it as a head coach. Like, we've had all those different types of things. It really just a game-by-game basis.
Sure.
But it's also, I've got some work to do with getting to know our staff, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've known everybody for 7 days.
It's crazy.
So I'm not going to make any sort of big decisions on that. Like, we're all learning each other.
Mm-hmm.
So TBD. Well, but I got to start thinking about that stuff.
You do. And I hope you get the situations early, because obviously, if you lose 1 or 2 non-conference, you can overcome it.
Or a scrimmage or an exhibition.
Even better.
Yeah.
Better.
Like, I would love to do that in those types of situations. Like, let's try to mimic some of these and see how we would operate. Lots to think about.
For sure. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And I know you're where you want to be. And
oh man, I am.
I'm glad it could all come together for you. And we're excited to watch this year. And
thank you.
I actually do think you have some talent.
Yeah, I do.
I think it's a little crazy to see you offered in the 9 spot today.
We love it.
But
we love it.
Free bulletin board material for the Terriers.
So. Oh yeah.
Awesome. This was Coach Giltner. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah,
I'm going to fix that show.
Okay, cool.
Hey, holler if you need anything.